Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the AstroPub, ladies and gentlemen. We have a meaty, thick time for you tonight. And I do mean meaty and thick. Hold on. All right. Sorry, someone was reaching out to me. Welcome. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? So I'm going to start off with hot off the presses.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Eris Dread Tide just resubscribed for 32 months. Are you ready to shift your perspective from the ordinary to the extra lizard? Ready to reset your expectations from the everyday to the highest lizard-s? From breathtaking lizard, incredible lizard, to unmatched lizard, Crusader is calling. Whether you're just looking to spend the day cloud hopping with the lizard, or relaxing by Green Circle's infinite lizard. With shuttles arriving daily, what are you waiting for? Come, visit Lizard the Lizard in the clouds.
Thank you for that.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Yeski 184 just resubscribed for 3 months.
Thank you so much. Was that 103 months? wait, what? Oh, 3 months. Okay. Yusuke, thank you so much for that Twitch Prime sub. You're a very important pupper, very impressive, Mr. Fanning Pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat. Y'all, shots and cheers. Woo! I was just like, wait. Holy shit. Thank you for that, buddy. Thank you as well, Iris. I infinitely prefer the lizard to all the other versions. So, Evocati is out. And, that's interesting. I'm not seeing it there. The big one is now okay, I'll stop, I guess. God damn it. No, I said I prefer this one. Don't you dare. Only because it makes
my spaceship.
It makes Tree go no.
You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
Ever.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
RD Madeira just resubscribed for 49 months.
Thanks for 49 months of support there, RD. You're a very important pupper, very impressive, Mr. Very pedestrian. This your fault. You're drinking tonight. Shots and cheers in net chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Woo! We got almost a complete level 1 high train. I don't know if anybody's speaking on YouTube. I should have been on YouTube. For some reason, it's not picking up on YouTube, even though I explicitly told it to. So I'm gonna. Oh, that's why. Oh, I forgot to hit activate it. Well, I'm an idiot. Pop it out. So if you don't see your stuff on here, YouTube, it's because I have consistently screwed up, which means that secretly I am plotting against you all. And it has nothing to do with how fucking difficult it is to try to unite these damn things. Socially Confused, Jock Cop, Citizen Ninja, Red Marine. Where's that med goo going to be coming from? Stock up. You can corner the market now. I mean, you can't really. But yeah, so med goo is coming. For those you don't know, in the next patch, every healing is going to require med gel. From what I'm seeing is limiting of the respawns. So a tier 1 and tier 2 bed give you two regens, and a tier 3 gives you 1 regen. And the med gel is not. Oh, and and med gel is used for restoring injuries. So the med gel is effectively regen serum, or just some sort of mix of regen serum and a bunch of other drugs. Waited for so long to death to matter. Time versus risk for once. So we're going to start with 1.0 with 6 systems? No. We'll talk about the Odin system. My plan is to on Monday, I'm going to be doing a Astro Historian Live. And I'm going to be doing a look at the Odin system, and we're also going to look at the latest subscriber jump point thing on the. It's a Congress now, so it's a Congress transcript for the Second Life Initiative. It's Goo Goo, yes. Not to be confused with Gaga. So little goo to grow a body from. Man, the future is wonderful, and you can make a lot with a little. So is this new med gel or the same green goo we already have? I thought the new med gel was used for regen and tier wounds, not regular heals. It's both. It's used for regen and for regular tier heals. So if you want to regen, it will take 100,000 capsule. So the capsules may come They come in. I don't remember exactly because I haven't done it yet, but I am doing the second hand, even though I am an Evo. I just haven't had a chance to look at it. That they take capsules of 100K. So there are two on tier 1s and tier 2 beds. There are 2 slots for them, and on tier 1, they can hold up to 100K. The serum, yeah. So it's a trade-off. You either heal wounds and risk not having enough goo for a respawn, or you respawn and then don't have enough goo to do any heals. And it's 50K for tier 2, tier 3 injuries. The question is it per injury, or is it just overall. So medbeds are like resin 3D printers. They've always kind of been like that. Yes, all beds still regen. It's just tier 3, you only get 1 regen. It's the compromise that I wanted and Tree0311 hated. Which is basically you are limited by the supply of substance that you have. I always like that idea because it's a gameplay solution. The gameplay solution is you have to stock up on this stuff, which you risk because it could be expensive, and if you lose your ship, then you lose the regen gel. You're not going to get the fifth element regen animation. You're just going to spawn. It's too much work for them to do an animation for it. At most, what you're going to get is some sort of closing dome over the top of the bed, then lights and show, and then it'll slip back after like a couple of seconds, and there'll be just a naked person there. Sad for the Star Lancer TAC bros. What do you mean? There are 2 beds, or no, there are 3 beds on the TAC, tier 3. So you have 3 regens for the bed. Plus you've got an entire cargo bay where you can carry more goo. So it comes standard with 3 regens. Plus you have cargo holds for more stuff. Yeah, and personal storage. When does the regen rework get applied to the game, by the way? What do you mean? The stuff that I'm just talking about? It's 3.1 or 4.3.1. Next patch. There are 2 beds. Okay, 2 regens. That's still more than a Pisces. It's about the same as a Cuddy Red, but there's more cargo you can hold. Yeah, you're right. There's only 2. I was confusing with the Apollo. And personal storage that could hold regen gel. It could be. I don't know how large the canisters are. I'm still shocked the Avenger Medivac doesn't exist. Nah, there's too, like, they'd have to redo the Avenger to get that one done. They already have enough Medivacs. The Pisces, the Apollo, the Ursa. See, like, the Nursa is basically nerfed at this point. With this, the Nursa has become a sort of superfluous thing. Because, yeah, you could regen in a Nursa forever, but you need storage to hold all of those, that gel, and you're going to have to constantly reinsert it after you die. I wonder if the goo is stable so we can carry extra. Yeah, no, it's definitely stable. You can definitely carry extra. They may have, it may eventually be like a timed thing where like it only survives for a certain amount of time, but yeah. Will they change the Pisces medbed? It has 2 slots for the goo tanks. I don't know. Now we just need goo salvage. Take all of the bodies of all of the people you killed and throw it into a big bathtub and then just dissolve it back to goo and then just reuse that. Tail to nose regen, medical appliances. To be honest, it's probably a shortstop. No reason why the gel can't be carried in storage area in Nursa. And I don't know the size of it. If it's too big to fit into your inventory, then you'll have to carry it around. We'll see. You can fit 20 in a backpack. Okay, so you can fit a lot. In a large backpack, okay. So you can probably fit some of it in some of the storage. That just means that you can fit a fuck ton more in places like the medevac, all of the other medical stuff, except for the Pisces. The Pisces doesn't have a lot of storage. Neither does the Nursa. I know it has some. We have to manually reload the beds? Yeah. Suddenly, the Frontier Fighters rebrand as a pharmaceutical company. Add a chipper on bed ships. Call it Soylent Green. Before anyone freaks out about the lore implications, they'll come up with something. The easy answer for the lore is that this is just sort of a one-size-fits-all standard container that contains regen gel and a cocktail of other medicines. Because you got to remember, in the Star Citizen universe, an autodoc is not like some sort of arms going everywhere, automatically doing surgery. The Biocorp autodoc is uses light beams to beam nano machines, son, into your bloodstream, which carries the medicine. So it burrows through your clothing and your suits, sealing it up behind it as it goes through. So it's basically able to go through your clothing, your suits. I don't think it seals up. It just goes through. It inserts itself and then delivers the medicine directly. Goo-laden light. Yes. Is it leaked? I haven't seen it. A jungle Valakar? I'm gonna check it real quick. I'm not seeing this at all. Oh, I see it. That is not a Valakar, y'all. I see it. Let me give me a moment. Give me a moment.
Lizard, 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 lizard. lizard, 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 lizard.
Was I wrong, chat? I told you the end of this line was just going to be
lizard, 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 lizard.
How's lizard not a redeem yet? I'll fix one up. I'll put it in there at some point. There might be a swamp version they have, but this one, so because of data mining audio that I found that they left in the files from, it was in the PTU files, by the way, not Evocati. For the next level, I can tell you exactly that they found one of these things in the facilities, the Armandi. They found them in the facility. And they may have been doing fucky shit with it and Vandal technology. Yeah, this is a separate species. Oh shit, Shakiro, nice. You're working on the next BattleTech core rulebook? Nice. Awesome. No, I haven't heard the new Evo sound files. I'll go to the right location. Hey, Steve. So these are the ones that I heard a while ago. I'll play them. I'll play a few of them real quick. Thank you. Yeah, no, I was looking at it right here on. Yeah, this is so. Shield your eyes, chat, if you do not wish to be spoiled. But it's already on Reddit, so. This is the Armandi. It has a beam. It beams. It's called the Rock Cracker. Yeah. Your Momdi looks like a worm. I'm sure your Mondi is some ancient name for a worm. I tried the gel. It's a money sink. It is a money sink. Yes, it is. That's the whole point of it. You have to prepare. And again, based on your Manger, maybe? Yes. And again, I said this before. Oh yeah, let me actually pull up the audio files. And so you'll get what I mean when I say, like, oh god, I realized this was Lizard. So this is one of the files.
Initial assessment of sample RP5T6L9. Discovered by one of the workers during the low-level expansion. This biological remnant appears to be the shed skin of some reptilian-adjacent, hereto unknown species. Extremely flexible. Seems to allow for an incredible range of motion. If this piece was shed during ecdysis, it quickens the heart to imagine the potential size of such a creature. I've sent more workers down to see if they can uncover any more samples. Until they do, I'm forced to hold off on more destructive tests.
This was given to me in 4.3 because I was looking for them so that I could have a list of the audio files already ready to go, pulled straight from the files. So when I do my video on Dr. Yorit and ASD and the many crimes they have done, I could just use those files rather than having to use shitty audio ripped from the game, like pulled from game stuff. So I know people who can access the files, and they gave me the files. They didn't know that this wasn't in 4.3 because none of us knew at the time. We just saw these were files that were associated with what they had. I will, their X, I will. There's an SSN news flash coming from Nix, of course, yeah. Here's the question. Do you think this is the right time to release this with the Apollo medevac being released? Do you think it will reduce the sales of the ship? No, because these people have been demanding more medical gameplay, and this is additions to the medical gameplay. It requires, actual resources now. I was hoping it would need to be cooled. It may need to be cooled in the future, but this is just them adding it in right now. Yeah, the Apollo has a cargo bay. It also has a lot of beds. So now the regen is super easy in comparison. Quite the reversal from the nurse's introduction. We always knew this was going to happen. The nurse's commercial was absolutely a mistake in all ways. No, I know. They've updated more. There's just a lot of shit the CIG's doing because, again, on the run up to CitizenCon, which we're only about a little under a month away, they always do a lot of shit to prepare because they start ramping up the hype machine because they start doing more things. They start releasing more things. I would agree if there's a fee on clinics and hospitals. That will eventually happen. It's just not going to happen in the first round. Selling medical goo was always the plan. We always knew there was going to be something. Even when they introduced the NERSA, you could see the freaking, you could access the, underneath the actual, kiosk, you could access a place that had two tube-like locations where you would insert something. We knew shit was going to be there for a long time. I don't think it was the NERSA. I think it was the Pisces that first had them. Yeah, I got that, X. Thank you. The reason why this is important is because this gives more context. Now, the thing is, you can still go to a clinic and go for free, or regen back at a station for free. That's fine. But that's a distance. That's a choice. Well, I'm done here. I'm going to regen. Yes. But then you lose everything in your backpack. And you have to go recollect your ship and all this sort of thing. So it's just a lot easier if you prepare better to go to a ship that has medical capabilities and, do that. Yes, so MedGel is now a thing in 431. It costs you, every time you use the bed, it will use a portion of the MedGel. And if you regen in a tier, it uses 100K MedGel. And I think they come in tubes of 100K. They may be coming in tubes of 50K. I don't know. How you doing, Luna? No more medical treatment in my beds. Come back when you're dead. No half measures. Bring your own gel. I think that might be just a good rule for us when we're doing stuff. The other thing that we saw is the new lizard. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me do it properly. The new
lizard, 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 lizard. Lizard, 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 lizard.
It's a snake if it was flattened out like a lizard. It's a worm, but not in like a worm, but like WYRM. It's a dragon. It's much more like an Eastern dragon than anything. But it doesn't have any tiny hands. We've looked at the files. It literally, they have no name for it. They have a name for it, but it's not that. It's called like the Rock Smasher, but its other name is like, pull up the name again. Yormandi. But uses 25% for a tier 1 injury and a 50% for a tier 3 injury, noting for medication. Yeah, it'll be adjusted over time. Like that's just okay, well, they need to dial it in at a certain point. That's just initial stats is what it is. What's the current subject? So the leaks from 431, MedGel is now useful. This is less exciting, but it's more exciting for me. That's the reason why I haven't really said anything, because I know people aren't super jazzed about this idea. But aren't as jazzed about it as I am. But there are 4 new factions in 431. Something called the Shattered Blade, Intersec, the Bounty Hunters Guild, and the Vandul Hunters. Are the Shattered Blade another Pyro clan? Nyx clan. Okay. They do cool things the UE hates, like attack the Vandul. Vandul Hunters. Plus, there's a new news break, which has updates on Nyx. Yeah, the news flash on Nyx. And it's almost like CIG is trying to hint that Nyx is coming around the corner or something. Now, I will hold myself accountable. I still don't think they're going to make Nyx to this year. I do think that they'll be shortly after that. The Shattered Blade and the Vandul Hunters are only mentioned. I don't think they're in the game files. They're only mentioned in the game. So they're not like in the game, as far as I know. And but the Bounty Hunters Guild and Intersect are. So they're basically the new sort of overall factions for specific things. I think they'll do what they did with Pyro. Yeah, that's what I think too. I think they'll do a whatever alliteration with Nyx. They did Pyro Playground. They're much better at the dad jokes than I am, so I don't know a good N alliteration with Nyx that would imply like moving around in it. Nyx Fix? Yeah, maybe. Nyx Nerdfest? There we go. Melee weapons, maybe? They have had melee weapon animations in Squadron for NPCs for like 2 years now. They talked about them in the monthly reports, the old monthly reports when they did Squadron monthly reports. And we've seen them use melee weapons in animations because they have those katanas they built out. Plus, the katanas are also in Uncle Wick's Emporium. And so we know swords have been in game, at least in the files, for a bit. Let's just say the Shattered Blade and Yorit are friends. Okay, so they're Vandul lovers. Oh, Nick's Nursery. That's a good one. Yeah. There you go. For free, CIG. The Nick's Nursery. Nick's Fire Festival. Once craftable, I hope NPCs sell it for more than it is currently. Yeah, no, you'll definitely be able to craft med gel. That's like almost guaranteed something they'll do. Nick's at night. Oh, the Nick's neighborhood. That might work. So what's important to remember is that anytime they add something new like Medgel coming into the game, it's the first version. So they'll make adjustments to the price and the availability as we play it and give them feedback. Art was working on armor for a new gang. Yeah, there are a lot of gangs in Pyro. We know there's at least 2 gangs in Pyro that we have access to that don't have dedicated armor yet that should have their own reputation, which is the Horizon Gang and the Fire Rats. Which, again, Fire Rats are a fan-created gang. They were invented by fans during a live stream to specifically design their own gang. And I love the interaction because they were clearly trying to go for like cyberpunk, like the devs were trying to imply cyberpunk, and every time they tried to move that direction, the fans were like, no, we want eldritch horrors beyond our imagination. Build us a fire cult that worships rats. And the writers were like, oh, fuck me. Okay. Oh, God. Okay. No, they've done a lot of work on the Fire Rats. The writers have really embraced the Fire Rats. They've done a lot of work in them. They've tied them into their own cult. They created a brand new idea, which was the Prophet of Pyro, specifically to tie in with the Fire Rats. They came up with a whole new lore background for them. It's clearly in this case, it was more of we came up with a name, and it was sort of the it was sort of the oh gosh, what is it? Prompt. You know, it's like they got a prompt and then they had to like write around the prompt. How uncharacteristic. Wish they had that kind of gumption for the Redeemer, right? It's Saturday. So it's Saturday the 11th of October, I think. Yeah, 11th of October. Hey, C Daddy. So yeah, it's gonna be a long one tonight because we've got a lot of stuff. All right, let's pull this up. So this is going to be part of the Astro Historian live that I'm going to do on Monday. We're going to look through this to talk a little bit about the history of Odin's system and everything we know. People have asked, Paul, does this mean that we're going to get the 6th system as the Odin system before the game releases? No. Why? Squadron 42 takes place in 2945 or 2946, possibly both. The events in Squadron will have a long-lasting effect on the universe. So what we have in Squadron 42 is not what we're going to have in-game in the PU. Because it will have changed over the decade plus that the game takes place. Howdy. How you doing, Hyper Dragoon? Yeah, there is. The one that X has been talking about right here. Actually see it right here too. The orange ship. This is the first time we've seen Fortune's Cross. Not seen, but we've heard the name Fortune's Cross. The Argo Longboy. Leaks do say Twitch drops coming, so not just when. Sitcon is only 2 hours, so maybe. Yeah, maybe on Sitcon. I would imagine that. I haven't heard anything from CIG. Usually CIG would be good enough to reach out to content creators about those sorts of things, but we'll probably know a little bit more. There's no reason to hide Twitch drops. I mean, CIG, please just tell us. Especially if you're expecting content creators to be the ones who are dropping them, just so we know how to do it. For those of you who are actually content creators and haven't done a Twitch drop before, the gist is if it's just open to everybody, you make sure that you sometimes you have to sign up for it, but usually you just have to make sure that you've gone through Twitch and then activated drops on your side. It's a data mine for the Twitch drops? Okay, so there's a data mine, and it's also, they added Twitch to the website. If the trajectory is to be taken seriously, we should be getting one system early next year and one system a year until 2028. T-Jack, this is going to sound insane, but we're probably going to get 2 systems next year. Because we're likely going to get Nyx early, and if CIG has their way, knowing how CIG thinks, they want to get Castra out next year as well, at the end of next year. Does that mean they'll do it? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. But they probably almost certainly wanted to get Nyx out this year and probably just didn't have enough resources to do so. Because the thing that's blocking Nyx is dynamic server meshing. That's never been confirmed, but it's almost certainly the case. It's the cost of running so many servers. They want to bring that down, but they want to increase the amount of players per server. So in order to do that, they need dynamic meshing to be able to dynamically switch back and forth. If they're significantly dropping hints with Nyx, they at least think they can get that done sooner than you think. Scanning is nice because Nyx is a big scanning thing, but they're almost certainly going to get scanning in by then. The technical limitation is the budgetary limitation, which is why they DSM. So you think they might cross above 5 systems by 1.0? No. I think they'll get... Terra will be in 2027, end of 2027, or sometime in 2027, and they'll spend a lot of 2027 and 2026, 2027, and then they'll spend a lot of 2027, 2028 just making the game. Pyro didn't get its solar flares with 4.0. Nyx doesn't need scanning. No. That was my thought in terms of gameplay, because that's its thing. But almost certainly we're going to get solar flares with Pyro around the same time as we get scanning and as well as DSM. So yeah, I think we're going to get a Nyx preview before the end of the year, just because they will want to do that, just so they can just go like, hey, check this out. It also sounds a lot like CIG is pivoting Nyx to Vandal Mania. I mean, that was clear back in when they were originally talking about the first 5 systems, because they talked about how they wanted to do instanced Vandal raids into Nyx. So you do like sort of non-UEE, like you support local fleets of like the Moraine or the People's Alliance of Levski against Vandal incursions.
You can take away my space suit.
We're not seeing a jump gate test. It'll just be
take away my
Nyx.
space lasers.
No confuse.
But you can never,
Ever.
take away my space game.
Shinobi Trip _ just resubscribed for 31 months. Wood.
Thank you for that 31 months of support there, Shinobi. You're very important, Papa. Very impressed. Very new pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. If they keep Nyx JP where it is in Pyro, it's going to be a haul from Stanton to Nyx. That's the idea. Based on what I read yesterday, I'm hoping we'll see a lot more EPTU before the end of the year. We probably will. But as always, CIG is bad at these things. I think a lot of people thought that we were going to get more EPTUs as we went, but it seemed pretty clear by the time we got to like March. I was like, yeah, this is going to be a repeat of last year, where they have a lot of lofty ideas, but they just don't have the resources to get them done. They always underestimate how much fucking work it's going to take them to do things. It's because they're optimistic. Fundamentally, CIG is full of a bunch of crazy bastards who think that they can, gender neutral bastards, I'll say, who think that they can do a lot more than they actually can. And when they run face first into the work wall, they go, oh, fuck. And then they have to start breaking it down. And eventually they tackle it. But they always come in way too optimistic. I think that's CIG's biggest flaw, is they are far more optimistic than they should be. They have done better at managing some of that stuff, but like, it's clear they're way too optimistic internally.
You can take away my space suit.
So CJ says something, restrain yourself and wait until it's out and working to get excited. Or at least it's being tested.
Ever take away my space game.
Doc Platypus just resubscribed for 31 months. Also 31 months. Onyx irradiated humans?
I don't know if that says that, but yeah. Thank you so much for that 31 months of support. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive. This is your fault. You're rendering guide. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Straight from CIG C Daddy's mouth himself. We crazy and optimistic. Fuck. I mean, yeah. I think you could probably get CIG developers to admit that in person. You know? Yeah, we're optimistic. It's kind of what, like, Star Citizen is a pie in the sky sort of project. So it requires a certain level of, I'm going to do some crazy shit. Being tested is nice, but it's not reliable. I like to think of testing because testing at least gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. Because once it's out and released, you know, the difference between being released and between tested and released is sometimes like 6 months to a year. And if you're testing it, you can at least see that it exists. And most people tend to want to see it exist, and then they want to see it working. But remember, Pyro was launched along with server meshing. They've learned a lot about how to set up server meshing now, so Nix might not be as bad. It probably won't be, but I think the dynamic meshing is important because of A, dynamic meshing is cheaper, and B, they've linked dynamic meshing to instancing. So instancing is part of that technology in some way. And CIG was very open that they want to test instancing in Nix with instance fleet battles in Nix. So the new utility armor in Leaks looks great. I'll pull it up. I'm not seeing any of this in Leaks. Am I shadow banned or something? The last thing I even see from Leaks was like from 6 o'clock today. So like 2 hours ago. I'm looking in both. Thank you, X. Oh, it's probably in the gallery feed. My bad. Yeah, I see it. Ooh, okay. Cover your ears, chat. Cover your ears. This is some live, spicy reporting directly from the from Leak City. The news flashes, yes. Here you go, chat.
Welcome to another SSN Newsflash. I'm James Harriman. The UEE has met with High Command to discuss how to handle the increasing Vandal presence in the Nix system, as well as the continued activity from the Shattered Blade. Multiple activist groups have called for the Imperator and Senate to meet with the People's Alliance to discuss potential incorporation into the UEE.
Oh, that's not going to work.
Now, supporters have suggested that the People's Alliance are ill-equipped to handle a sustained Vandal presence in the system and want to extend an olive branch, while critics question whether they would want to join the empire they fled or how the UEE would incorporate the unusual governing structure that they operate under. While Imperator Addison has maintained that regardless of their status within the UEE, the people of Levski are our allies. Be sure to check out SSN's live coverage of the Senate debates for further details. We're out of time. See you next time on Newsflash.
That sounds like a fucking quagmire. Holy shit. That sounds like an absolute nightmare. Yeah, Nix needs help because it's fighting the Vandal. But the People's Alliance doesn't like the UEE. They fundamentally, like, philosophically disagree with the UEE. Yeah, they're Trotskyist shit, but, like, it's still, like, there's a base hatred there that's just not going to work. Plus, you have the Moraine who are activated there as well. You're literally walking into a quagmire, where on one side you have the Vandal trying to attack you, and the other side you're going to have active insurgency groups attacking ships to take shit. Holy fuck. This is great. This is awful and great. I love it. This is just, you know, Iraq all over again. When? At any time in human history. Oh, Nix, the Afghanistan of Star Citizen. Or the Balkans, etc., yeah. Question, what do you think we'll see the first Vandal system to raid and reclaim? Virgil. Hands down, it's Virgil. There's just too many narrative threads that lead to Virgil, and it's also right next to fucking Nyx. It's literally got a jump point to Nyx. If the Vandal are coming from anywhere into Nyx, it's coming from Virgil. PR Trots, kind of. So the People's Alliance is one of those, everyone needs everyone's opinion is valid, man. Let's just let everyone have their say, and we're not going to get involved in other people's business, and we're just, everyone's own liberation is up to them, man. Okay? Oh yeah, yeah. No. The more I had to re up myself on Trotskyism. Yeah, the Trotskys, the Trots. Almost certainly the Trots. Make a prediction. How many years after 1.0 would you take back Virgil Helldiver style? When they add Virgil into the game, I am gathering a people's crusade, and I am going to fucking Titanfall onto the planet and just start shooting Vanduul in my Virgil made genocide machine. This machine kills Xenos machine. Don't you hate it when I'm right? Knowledge, I never said it wasn't going to be released. I just said it wasn't going to be like, I said it wasn't going to be released in the sense of like release. I still don't think it's going to happen. I think it'll be a preview, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think they're setting it up for release, though, for sure. Virgil gets added to the game. So anyway, I started blasting. Listen, I'd rather be in a fist fight with a Vanduul than piss off a descendant of Virgil. Okay? The children of Cyrene are fucking insane. What kind of answer is this? So you said that this is going to be released. I said it wasn't going to be released, but it would be in a preview. And then next year it would be released. And I hope you're right. If I'm wrong, I will fucking own up to it. I'll be very impressed with CIG managing them to get it out there. But I don't think they have the chutzpah or the resources. I was going to say the talent, but it's not really a talent issue. It's a resource issue to fully do it without fucking up the entire system. Yeah, but it's just, I don't see them doing it with the current server technology they have now, because they seem to be very hesitant. Because like they would have fucking released it. Like I don't think Nyx has been like it's been done, or at least in the state of being finished for a while now. I don't think it's a situation where like it took them a long time. We know it doesn't take them a long time to do systems. Systems are fucking easy. They've got the tools for them. I think what they were doing was they probably had planned on releasing Nyx much earlier, like summer, like Q2 or this like right now, like 4.3, but they couldn't quite get it out, get it out because they had like resource issues. And I still think that they're a little gun shy because of the cost of running servers. It's just they have probably like close to doubled their server cost by releasing server meshing, which wasn't what's supposed to happen. Server meshing is supposed to help bring their server costs down so it's easier to like consolidate people. Is the UE not annexing Nyx? UE is not annexing. No, I will become a violent revolutionary if they try to annex Nyx. Okay, GQ, I'm going to tell you this right now. C-Daddy probably knows as much as we do on details of release because C-Daddy works on platform. The people who work, CSG is very siloed. So the people who work on specific things almost know nothing else about the game. Mostly not because they aren't curious or because people wouldn't tell them, mostly because they're so fucking busy, they can only focus on the thing that they're designed to do. And they're just, you get tired after working 8 to 10 hours a day on something. You just want to go home. You don't want to like talk to your cohorts and ask them what they're doing. Platform, no? Yeah, you know it's on platform. But you wouldn't know about a release until it was already being planned. Like ready to go. It probably takes you what? 3 to 6 months to do something To like go from hey Nancy. Release management is under platform. But the go no goes take a while usually. Or has that changed because of the new super fast drop schedule? I may be wrong. C-Daddy may be the knower of the crystal. He may be pondering his orb on a regular basis. Atzilla's trying to try to goat C-Daddy to releasing it.
You can take away my spaceship.
We're talking about
my
Nyx.
Space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
G Coobs just resubscribed for 13 months. That's better.
Thank you so much for that 13 months of support, GQ. You're very important, proper, very impressive, Mr. Vanny Pedestrian. That's your fault. Your time drinking night. Shots and cheers and chat. Y'all, shots and cheers. They're more often now. Okay. So he might know. I'm wrong on that one. Proxus loves his go-no-go calls. Oh. I didn't see him. Never mind. I haven't seen him in a while. I will trade your Van Duel for that one ship weapon. What one ship weapon? Are we talking about the spicy toilet seats? Hey, this is listed as an OMC one, isn't it? I'm looking at it right now. I'll pull these up. All right, chat, here you go. New armor. This is called like the OMC armor. So this is a Squadron asset of some kind. OMC is the main bad guys of Squadron. It's very reminiscent. You could definitely see that it's not fully done yet. This is just sort of textured, which means it's been pulled from Squadron into Star Citizen and hasn't been fully up yet, though. Another cartoon Vigilus helmet. Hey, I love it, man. And the universe of Star Citizen, where you can you don't need visors because they have those like look at the Tavaran windscreens. That technology has been around for fucking ever, so of course they're gonna have that here. I like the throwback. It feels very like, mid 2000s. Obviously they're gonna doll it up a little bit more, but it has that sort of feeling to it, which is nice. Yeah, Dead Spacey, yeah. You gotta remember, a lot of cassette futurism is the sort of style that CIG is going for. Somewhere between cassette futurism and sort of the retro. It's got a lot of different factors, but cassette futurism is a big one. This looks like what's it called from Warframe? Someone help me here. What's the faction called in Warframe? I don't know. Hey, Anansi. All right. We're going to listen to the second news broadcast as well. Corpus is what Treesan says. All right. This is the second news broadcast.
This is James Harriman with your SSN News Flash. Shocking news coming out of the Nix system, as authorities announced they have identified the group responsible for selling Vanduul bodies to Associated Science and Development's experiments under Dr. Logan Yoret. The group, calling themselves the Shattered Blade, have operated as black market dealers of contraband, specifically alien technology. Now, military officials have expressed concern that the activities of the Shattered Blade are potentially antagonizing hostilities with the Vanduul and could instigate incursions into UEE systems. Authorities have been looking for more information about this group and those that have been subsidizing their activities. We'll keep you posted as the story develops. That's our newsflash. See you next time.
Zombie Vanduul. Yep. Hey.
Lizard, 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 lizard. Lizard, 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 lizard.
All small guns. Yeah, damn straight. I'm with that. Bro, who's the money man behind it? You don't want to know. Well, you probably do. That lizard is my spirit animal. I've been saying for a while with all of the stuff we've been able to glean that 431 is just going to end up being lizard, 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 between hybrid Vanduul human attack things and giant fucking lizard that can fucking fire beams at you. It is going to be lizard fucking city up in 431. If you say, I'm going to say division, I'm going to say division because the division is the fucking answer to all of the questions. If there is a secret cabal somewhere doing something shady, which could benefit the UEE or hurt the UEE or possibly do both at the same time, it's going to be the fucking division. The division of executive services is absolutely irresponsible for everything. And no, I am not crazy. Do not ask about the tinfoil hat. Good night, Paul. Okay, Parker. Silas Kerner and his mecha measure. What did I miss? So the Shattered Blade is a new faction we've heard about, which is raiding into Vandal territory to take Vandal stuff and sell it on the black market. And it's been they sold this to Dr. Yorit and ASD for research. Yeah. I fucked up I forgot to hit activate YouTube properly. So YouTube is streaming. Yes, Crimson was asking about this. Jag Macklin, thank you for the stream. Thank you for the subscribe. So Lore is endorsing Shatterblade, right? Of course we are. They're relics. God damn it. I just want to put Yort in a museum as well. That's all. Because that man is insane and he will kill us all. Bro, we had on Space Tomato, what is exploration for Star Citizen? Can you say what you think about exploration? I did an entire video, entire Captain's Table on this one. Yeah, it's map making, y'all. It's map making. It's cartography. Exploration, gameplay, the loop is going to be go to region, scan region, return to location, sell data. Mission is go to region, map region, return, and sell. And I've said one of the best ways that CIG could do is the outer of the system, the outer rims of the system, the Oort clouds. They could just put procedurally generated shit everywhere and it would just disappear when you leave. Because it's the fucking Oort cloud. No one's going out there. Yeah, you're not going to be Lewis and Clark. You're going to be Mason and Dixon. That's a great way of putting it, yeah. I thought Yort was the good guy. The good guy who is trying to breed a human Vandal hybrid by using regen technology and explicitly has captured Vandal blades and tried to feed them. The man who thought who thought the best way of getting technology to fix the regen crisis was to torture worms when he didn't need to, specifically to provoke the most aggressive response possible. Yeah, I'm not seeing the issue here, Paul. This man is going to create a fucking virus which is going to kill everyone in the UEE. Not just everyone in UE, the whole goddamn human race, because he thinks it would make us better. Release the Hurston files. I still don't see the issue. What do you think about Medja being 100K and that's one respawn? That's fine. That's fine. I mean, like, if it's too much or too little, they'll change it. It's not like, that's not an issue in my mind. The big thing is that they're putting in the gel and they're linking it to healing and regen. That's fine. Dr. Yort didn't kill himself. Man, that is a plot twist I'm for. The UEE captures Yorit, and he dies in custody. I would be so happy if CIG did that. Because they could also, that means he died off screen. So they can always bring him back because he didn't actually die. Who says he hasn't been working for the Division all along? That's my point. This is the kind of shit Division would do. We know, like, 2 incidents where Division absolutely was involved. And both of them put the UE in extreme danger. One of them, they hired a mercenary to raid one of the Empire's leading, most secure facilities to steal technology in the middle of fucking Terra. The other time, they hired an ex-convict to try to sneak through Xi'an space to go contact the Krithak, and he got caught immediately and nearly started an interstellar war with the Xi'an. No, I don't think Xenothreat is the Division. I think the Division is trying to destroy Xenothreat. See, I don't think Yort is actually being funded by the Division. He might be funded sort of by them, but I could see a situation where he gets captured and then the Division he dies in custody, and then he just so happens to be working at a Division black site. No, I think the rogue asset of the Division is the Frontier Fighters. I think the Frontier Fighters are a rogue asset. Your tinfoil hat is starting to look like a boat. So he's the Dr. Halsey of Star Citizen. 100%. He is the Dr. Halsey. He is the Astartes. I forgot her first name. He is the Dr. Mengele of Star Citizen. Does your complete lore videos have things like the Division in them? The Division wasn't formed until the fall of the Mezzers. So it's a fairly new organization. Effectively, each part of the government has its own intelligence branch. The advocacy has its own intelligence branch. The military has its own intelligence branch. And the Congress has its own intelligence branch. The Congress's intelligence branch is the Division. The difference is that the advocacy openly acknowledges their intelligence branch, and so does the military. Congress doesn't have one legally on paper because the Division's main job, its sole purpose, is to prevent another Mezzer from rising from the ashes. It is a secret group of civilian spies whose sole job is to monitor extreme political activity in the UEE and do everything in its power to preserve the UEE as it is now. The Division's secretly loyal to Fiona? No. They were founded to fight the Mezzers. There's no way they're loyal to Fiona. The Mezzers will rise again, which is why Division is still around. If you're going to use them, use a good example of them. They're like the Blades from the Elder Scrolls universe. Only like completely secret. You need another channel called The Astro Truther where you focus on conspiracy theories. Well, that's my plan. My plan is to get this Hurston video out, and then the next video is a compilation of all of the everything we know, or like all of the ships of the UE Navy. And then after that, I'm going to do my my Spoopy series, the Untold Tales series. Like I did the one about the missing settlers of Stanton. I'm going to do one on the Division and kind of break down what we know about the Division and what they probably are doing in the future. But who watches the Watchers then, Paul? That's the problem. They are absolutely unfucking hinged. They have no checks and balances. And they're entirely funded, they're entirely staffed by zealots. This is why I love them. They're the perfect, they're like, you know how whenever something bad happens in the world, somebody goes, oh, it was the CIA, it was a secret CIA plot, even though like 9 times out of 10, the CIA isn't competent enough to even fucking open a door, let alone overthrow a country. They're like a more competent CIA, which should scare the shit out of you. They're by any means necessary, yeah. Ends always justify the means. The thing is that as far as we know about the Division, they are a very small group. Maybe a couple dozen total. The thing about the Division is I think they're called Watchers. Civilians who are paid by the Division to feed them intel. So there's a handful. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that the, what are they called? The Sentai crew, the Sentai, Super Sentai crew in Pyro, if they're Division members. Neighborhood Watch, if the Neighborhood Watch got government funding for, like, weapons of mass destruction. MK Ultra, Bay of Pigs, you're making my point there, Knowledge. MK Ultra is a gigantic fuck up of them trying to create a truth serum that they just fucked up and then continued to fuck up by doing stupid things and doing completely illicit things and got caught doing it. All they did was ended up giving a bunch of people LSD and killing people. It was incompetence, not like intention. And they fucked up the Bay of Pigs super hard and got a lot of people killed. They tried to kill Castro like 16 times. The CIA is not the boogeyman. They suck ass. But that's my problem. That's the problem, is that I'm not going to get too much into this, but like things like JFK assassination. I don't believe that the CIA is competent enough to assassinate anybody. Because every time they've tried, they've fucked up. And anytime they managed to actually overthrow countries, it was with the backing of huge corporations that had a corporate interest into doing that in the first place. So they already had people who are already in place, and all they had to do was just push a button. They just had to be like, all right, boss, where do you want me to send all of these soldiers? Sort of thing. Nah, man. I think it's easier for people to think the CIA is this super elite boogeyman that's over everyone that can do anything they want, because it's a lot easier to rule by, to like make it feel like you're a boogeyman that can jump out of anywhere than actually functions. Hey, I like my bananas cheap, okay? Everyone does. They've overthrown so many regimes. Like I just said, most of those regimes they've overthrown, probably I think all of them, had some sort of capital behind them. The oil industry, the fruit industry, you name it. So who are the wild geese of the Star Citizen universe? I'm not going to get too much into it, Anansi. I get with that, but yeah. Don't worry, Knowledge. I'll shield you from the CIA's truth sniffer that's coming to get you, and only you for knowing everything. Paul, I have a question for you. Have you considered making something again for roleplay primer again to roleplay primer Star Citizen one day for people's lore, to building logical character lore? My plan, I actually was planning on doing sort of like a guide to how you could get into researching lore, and then like going through the like where to find the what the fuck's it called? Oh, goddamn. The Time Capsule series. The Time Capsule series, how to go to the Galactopedia, how to use the access to the Arc Star Map, how to get to the wiki, you know, the jump point articles, all that kind of stuff. How to find the old lore posts. The UE Zone Inquisition, kind of. Like, it's important to note that, like, the Division acts more like Section 31 from Star Trek than they act like an actual agency that exists in other science fiction properties. They don't exist. And if you say they exist, you have no proof. Which, in terms of like narrative storytelling, it means they're a perfect insert to whatever you want. If you want somebody who's going to be funding something, which is like, who the fuck could be funding this? It's like, I don't know, an unchecked organization that has the entirety of the UE tax bracket to tax backing and a huge black budget of whatever the fuck they want. I think that what Jakaro is asking for is more like where you can get ideas for characters to slot them into lore. Because like you could have a character who has a AI assistant or something like that, but understanding that that AI assistant would be illegal is a big one because they're not supposed to exist. So like, you know, framing your character in the universe of Star Citizen. You know, kind of like how people will take characters from like D&D and put them into other universes. They just sort of reframe that character around whatever the universe they're in. What about VIs from Mass Effect? They exist. Yeah, that's what you kind of have at New Babbage. It's somewhere like a VI, but artificial intelligence is banned. Like what a character from Bremen would be like. They'd probably be more like farmer. So there'd be like a farmer, maybe sort of a frontiersman, because maybe fought in the Bremen Defense Force. No, it's so the reason why it's not showing up in stream is because I forgot to hit a button on Restream before it went live, and you can't add it while the stream is going live. So the only way I could add it would be to end the YouTube stream, restart the YouTube stream, click the button coming in. I can still see you, Happy Rob. It's just not showing up on the front. No, Paul, I have no idea what you're talking about, Paul. No, I have no idea what you're talking about, Paul. You've totally never done that, Iris. Failed Division plans that never made the light of day would make some good books for Star Citizen non-canon stuff. Yeah, it would. I mean, the story of the failed attempt to reach the Kurthok, I think, was exposed as a Division plot. We know it was. Like, we have evidence that it was a Division plot. But I don't know if it was fully exposed to the universe as a Division plot. But it was definitely exposed to the government. Like, it's, as far as I know, the first time that the entirety of the UEE government went, oh, fuck, the Senate has a goddamn intelligence division and it's real. It's not just a myth. It's why we know the division even exists. We know little more about it. Yeah. It's basically like it was always rumored to exist, but it was like a conspiracy theory, a whisper. And then the fucking event happened, and it was like, wait, where the fuck did this guy come from? And why do we have recordings of two senators whispering about something doing exactly this? So did the Senate do this? The Senate doesn't have this. They'd have to have some kind of organization dedicated to this sort of spycraft, like the one we thought that they've had for years. Oh, God. Is the division like Section 31 from Star Trek? Yes. Though their real crux that we know of is that they're probably not that big a number. Their big secret is that they have a fucking huge amount of informants. Like, everyone and anyone could be one of their little informants, one of their little agents. So, like, a division agent would then contact, like, say, the head of a Banu Suli. And we're working a deal where the Banu Suli would give him information. So now everyone in that Banu Suli works for that for the Esso Suli, who then gives information to the agent. So now an entire Suli is getting information for this one agent. They may befriend a captain of a smuggling craft or a pirate ship or a small gang, and give them a little bit of money or a little bit of, hey, we'll get you out of hard times if you need it, but we just got to give us information. And now an entire fucking gang is working for the UEE. I wonder how much the division is up Bishop's backside at any given time. They wouldn't make themselves obvious. They would just imply things. You should stop talking for your own health. Listen, I just would like to make it to the record. I am not suicidal, okay? I can swim. I'm a pretty good swimmer. Let's see, what else? I have got a pretty good, clean bill of health. I don't have any health conditions. And I definitely have no means of shooting myself in the back of the head 16 times. And I do not loiter around third-story windows. I don't drink tea. I'm thinking of DS9 version of the section, super small but scary good. Yeah, basically like that. That's the one I'm thinking of because I never watched the new Trek stuff about that, so I don't know what that is. I'm excited for more factions to get implemented, more armor to collect. I'm interested in more Firelat lore. I am too. Paul Shelley died earlier today in a horrific tinfoil hat accident. I'm gonna get some water, but what I'm trying to say is I'm excited for what CIG is going to do. And thank you for letting me talk about my crazy conspiracy theories about the division being behind everything. What you should start doing is every time there's a bug that happens, blame the division. The division is the reason why your elevators don't work or try to kill you. Every time the elevator eats your ship, that's the division. They're fucking with you, man. You know too much. Get your brakes checked often? Regularly. Division is behind the regen crisis. Exactly. Yes, I know. I think of the Division 2, the Division and the Division 2, because it's technically called Division, not the Division. It's called the Division of Executive Services is its full name, or DES. But no one calls them DES. They call them Division. Now the elevators are Armin Strong. Who do you think pays Armin Strong? Why does Armin Strong always have bodyguards everywhere he goes? Hurston. Listen, that's also true. Both of those are true. Both of these things can be true. You need to interview Parker? Yes. Great. Are we watchers now? If they pay enough, yeah. The real reason Paul is safe from the Division. Wait, do bodyguards get paid? Usually. No, we're puppets of the Watchers. Yes. All right, I'll be right back. Your fun button is on. It should be on. When I come back, I'm going to turn it off. So you got like a couple of seconds. If you're watching this on YouTube, mute it until I come back. You'll understand why.
Weapons free, y'all.
Two words. Distress bacon.
Stand by for Titanfall.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Two words. Distress bacon.
I'm flying. I'm pilot.
Mission complete. Burrito. I
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
Stand by for Titanfall.
Two words. Distress bacon.
The bodyguards are for your protection, not his. AstroPub, are we going to Knicks next year? Yeah. You got a couple Beltalos in there, Cable. All right. Let's take a look. $8/15/2955. UEE Congress. Go away. I did, yeah. I explained it earlier. I don't think we're going to see the Knicks this year. I think we'll see it next year. We'll see it in a preview, but I don't know if we'll see it this year. Just because I don't think they have enough time. It's a lot of work, and I do think they're waiting for dynamic server meshing to be in. All right, Speaker Marshall Madrigal, U Borea Magnus System. Oh, I didn't know that the speaker is from Borea. That's interesting. Everyone please be seated. We'll now begin the discussion regarding the vote of the Extended Imperators and Executive Order, the Second Life Initiative. Senator, I see you if you raised hand. Please proceed. Senator Ramona Federico, C. Mars Sol System. This is the first time we've seen a Martian senator. Mr. Speaker, while it's important to acknowledge the desired impact of the Second Life Initiative, it has become apparent that the unfettered scientific research occurring has unequivocally caused more harm than good. In the wake of the recent Associated Science and Development whistleblower testimony, I think time has come to not only end Addison's failed Second Life Initiative, but to place stricter limitations on research going forward. My proposal requires that all scientific institutions, including but not limited to corporations, independent research facilities, and universities that intend to explore research in relation to Ibrahim spheres, directly or indirectly, must submit a detailed... she's a centrist. Oh, God, of course she's a centrist. A centralist. Universalist centralist. Of course Mars would have a centralist senator. Must submit detailed proposal of the scope and contents of the research to the Imperial Science Foundation for approval before said research can be conducted. I'm sure that ASD is not the only company to have exploited Addison's naivete, and unless we have a zero-tolerance approach to this misuse of government funds, for dubious and morally questionable science, irreparable harm will continue to be done to the Empire. Mr. Speaker, I yield the remainder of my time. Speaker Marshall Madrigal. Thank you, Senator. Floor recognizes Senator Caldwell. Per se, Redder system. Ooh, Caldwell's not going to like that. Redder? Persei? Not per se. Persei? No, UPark is all about its dark secret fucking research. Senator Federico, let me start by saying I share your concerns. We've all seen the experiments that came out of ASD's Pyro facilities. The reports of last week that the company used a Second Life grant to fund the development of SimPod game were gravely disappointing. While we know that we can all agree that it was an extreme misappropriation of government funding, increasing restrictions is not the answer. Exactly. We have to acknowledge that these are edge cases. So, to give you context, centralists are very pro-business when it fits their own agenda. They're very laissez-faire, let corporations do what they want, but they're also more populist in terms of their beliefs. They tend to be anti-Xeno, extremely anti-Xeno, and extremely wary of any Xenotech. And remember, Ibrahim spheres are Xenotech. Universalists are sort of middle, they're sort of the middle party in terms of politics. But this guy is specifically from Persei, and Persei is where UPark is. And I've said this before, but UPark is the DARPA of the UEE. And all of that entails, good and bad. Yes, university. The Universalists are from where Costigan was from too. They do not represent the scientific community as a whole. Creating unnecessary bureaucratic red tape will only stymie the little progress that is already being made. This is not some hypothetical where we can afford to waste time. Until a solution to regeneration is found, real people are dying. I feel it is my distinguished colleagues that I made it be a bit of a historical reminder that difficult problems often require unconventional solutions. Need I remind you how the crop rust epidemic of 2765 was cured? Granted, a little before my time, but an important lesson to be remembered. The government was very, very different back then. As the measures continued their rapid expansion across worlds, an erroneous and misguided terraforming accident caused the creation of the rust fungus, which managed to spread to Asura in the Therian system. God damn, Asura just gets fucked with everything, don't they? It spread like wildfire, making the soil of the planet completely untenable. Mass famine, declining birth rates, and a dramatic increase in crime ensued. But in tandem to this, Aegis Dynamics were developing a plasma reformer technology to increase quantum fuel efficiency. Nobody expected that a byproduct gas of this hydrocarbon fuel conversion could be turned into a fertilizer that would prove to be the solution to the crop rust epidemic, allowing them to revitalize the environment without re-terraforming it. My point is, we simply cannot anticipate where these breakthroughs will come from. I admire Admiral Imperial Addison's bravery in creating this initiative, and trust that she is placing the scientific community to solve the very real, very urgent problem. Thank you. Leon Caldwell is almost certainly an associate of Addison, even though Addison doesn't have a party. Senator Madrigal. Thank you, Senator. Please go ahead, Senator Vox. Aha, transitionalist. Right-if. Fucking, they would have a fucking transitionalist. Transitionalists are the left-leaning party of the UEE. They're pro-Xeno. They're pro-reform. They want to change the UEE into the the Democratic Stellar Union. They want to move the capital to Terra. They're very like, the UEE is old and busted. We need new hotness. They're the minority party in the government, but they're like slightly behind the centralists. Last I checked, Universalists are the biggest party. They have the most. They're the main party of the UEE. But there are other smaller parties which can cause problems, and Universalists have to listen to both of them. Senator Carla Vox. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Caldwell, I must say, your level of hypocrisy is astounding. Wow. Senator, you will address your colleague with, withdrawn. I'm saying that your interest in maintaining this initiative is entirely self-serving. Caldwell, I believe this initiative is paramount to the survival of humanity, and without it, we have no hope of solving the regen crisis. And this initiative is in no way benefits or serves you personally. is that your public that your public support for ASD is purely in the interest of humanity's development? Come on. I have a source who's indicated that your support for the government is not entirely unrelated. That your support is not entirely unrelated, and that you've been promising government funding for various projects, some relating to the Second Life Initiative, others that do not, and more so that this is a company that you hold shares in. Caldwell, I'd like to know the legitimacy of your source, but it's frankly irrelevant. Madrigal, Senator Vox, this is your second warning. This chamber will not be home to whispers and rumors. Please return to the topic at hand and stick to the facts unless you're willing to enter direct evidence as corroboration. That is classic transitionalist move. They love doing that shit. They love doing that. They love to just stand up and be like, you're fucking corrupt, and everyone knows it. And everyone's like, you have to back it up with evidence. And they're like, I withdraw my statement. That's what they do all the time. They absolutely love doing that. I think Polo is a transitionalist. He did the same shit. My point is, this initiative is giving rise to self-interested individuals and organizations that would exploit government funding. This is the jump point. This is the jump point. Exploit government funding for personal gain. We are being blinded by our desperation. I call for not only this initiative to be revoked and for the previous safeguards to be reinstated, but for Imperator Addison to resign immediately. And indistinct shouting, order! Senator Leon Caldwell. Mr. Speaker, if I may, Senator Vox, let me ask you this. Were you aware of the extent of this crisis? Are you aware of the extent of this crisis? That almost 1 in 20 people were able to regenerate, and you'd have our Imperator resign? We need strong leadership, and we need to take risks. Senator Vox, but where is the regulation? Where is the accountability? Imperator Addison has enabled an environment where even the most reprehensible and morally bankrupt people can pursue their Caldwell. What exactly is your solution, Senator? We continue to allow people to lose their loved ones, their partners, their families, their children, all in favor of caution? You are willfully misinterpreting what I'm saying, Senator. I would like nothing more for this crisis to end. Scientific research must continue, but not under Imperator Addison's rule. What we are experiencing is the result of gross incompetence at the highest level, encouraged by Senator Caldwell's personal greed. And enough, I'm withdrawing your time, Senator. Senator Toth, you have the floor. Please proceed. So they're independent from the Hyperion forest system, yeah. You're corrupt. This is something I heard. I don't know if you're corrupt, but I've heard you're corrupt. Exactly, yeah. Question, is there supposed to be an Imperator election next year? No, 2030. So it'll be in a couple years. Like 4 years. We may have a senatorial election, though. Vote for Armin Strong. For a strong Stanton. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe that the conversations and the debates that are recurring in this room are reflective of what the true heart of the issue is. Humanity's obsession with immortality. We see the decline in regeneration as a crisis when we should be using it as a stark reminder that the inevitability and finality of the human race. We can't live forever. It's as simple as that. Would our time, effort, and funds not be better spent on increasing the quality of life for those who still alive, or increasing the security presence in dangerous systems, or ensuring that there isn't a single hungry mouth to feed in our most impoverished systems? I propose that this initiative to be immediately scrapped and the government's funds allocated for something more impactful and meaningful, something that matters to those who are still alive. Loud chatter, gavel bang. Quiet down. I suggest we take a 15-minute recess so people can calm down. And we will continue the discussion properly before voting. Toth does have a point, but the point of this, and I do like to point this out, the point of this is to show you that the Senate is fucking useless. They have no fucking idea what's going on. They have no plans or solution. They are just talking because that's all they know how to do. They constantly are trying to fuck each other over. This is like Rome 101. So they're a very realistic Senate. Exactly. It's like, the Senate. Yes. Yep, even in video game politicians are useless. It's important to remember that the point of, like, we think of the UEE because we're going to, especially with Squadron 42, we're fighting for humanity, we're fighting for the UEE, but the reality is that the Empire is dying. The UEE is failing. That's the whole point of the story. The difference between, say, this and Rome is that Rome didn't have a bunch of players to determine if it's going to fall or how it's going to fall. Players will have an impact on the direction that the story goes overall. So the question is not if Earth will fall, but how will it fall and how bad will Earth fall to the Vanduul? How many people will die? Think of Helldivers and the invasion of Super Earth. The invasion of Super Earth is always inevitable at all times in Helldivers. That's happened in Helldivers 1. It's already happened in Helldivers 2. It will happen again in Helldivers 2. Don't mark my words. It will happen. It's just a matter of how bad will it be and how much will the players be able to stop it. Does this mean there will be no high security system if players want it? No. I mean, yeah, it's possible, but the volume of players that'll need to happen will be so high, it will likely be pointless because CIG does have infinite waves. They have the ability to spawn infinite waves of unkillable Navy fleets. Concord from Eve, basically. That's also not to mention the inevitable split between East and West. Terra versus Earth. Because that is like 1000% the way it's going. We know that there will be a civil war. That's the point of the first of the main storyline of 1.0. It follows that conflict between Earth and Terra. Can't read to read the novelization. Star Citizen, The Rise and Fall of the UEE. Man, I would do anything to write that shit. I would love to write a historical history style novel like The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire. For those of you who don't know, the Star Wars they actually hired, I think, an actual historian to write a fictional history of the Galactic Empire called The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire. It's like an in-fiction version of a history novel. That's really good. It's, like I said, it's written by an actual historian who's doing the stuff that I do with Star Citizen lore, which is try to piece the disparate parts together and piece a story that makes sense for people to digest. What if the UE had multiple emperors for different parts of the empire? That may happen as well. We don't know because CIG has plans, but those plans are sort of loose. They're gonna go with whatever they can. Dr. Chris Kempshall. Okay, yeah. I 1000% would volunteer to write the Rise and Fall of the UE. Fucking that is my kind of dream thing to do. They probably wouldn't pick someone like me. They'd probably just the writers themselves would do it, but I'd support a Bremen rump state. Someone asked who are we picking, the Eastern Rome or Western Rome? I'm picking Bremen. You all gotta understand, Bremen, where Bremen goes, so does the Empire. Bremen is the linchpin. There are so many things that center on Bremen that if Bremen turns one way or the other, it's going to go that way. And right now, as we saw, Bremen is run by a transitionalist. That was the Senator Vox who was like, you know, you're all fucking corrupt, you know. Pictures of CIG, I will, but I think it's going to be, we'll have to wait till after everything's done. I will actually do a Armin Strong campaign, by the way. That's my plan next year, is to do some in-fiction videos, if I can get some help, of doing a proposal to bring to the UEE Senate to make an exception to the rule that they originally said, to allow for Stanton to have representation, but instead of Stanton's representation to be planet by planet, it is for the entire system of Stanton, so that all 4 planets would vote for 1 representative rather than having individual planets have representation. That way you would remove the corporate interest worries, and it would just be, because they would be pitting against each other. All the different corporations would be pitted against each other. And of course, Armin Strong, being the son of Stanton, the last son of Stanton, the first and last son of Stanton, the true son of Stanton, would be the legitimate choice for being the UEE Senate, the representative to the UEE Senate. But I plan on talking to Wookiee about this, and to HubNet and all the other groups like that, to try to like pitch it as this idea that Senator Armin Strong, on his own, you know, he calls himself a senator just like, you know, a Kentucky colonel. Keep Stanton strong. Yes. What kind of help are we talking? Like, I want to do videos. I want people to like make proposals, to spread the proposal out as like a lore thing, or as like a role play thing, to see, you know, to have people talk about it in the game. All right. Let's finally look at Odin. So as much as a senator as I am a saint, I see. Yeah, effectively. He gives himself the title because he sees himself as a man of the people and speaking for the people to help the people. I will pitch it one more time so y'all get the idea. Senator Strong was born in Hurston to laborers. He grew out of poverty, went to school in Microtech, where he played Sadaball, nearly went professional, but he made his way partially by doing fist fighting, by doing pit fights with stalkers. So he's strong, literally. He then, after leaving university, joined the UEE Navy, fought in the Battle of Vega, where he claims to have had to punch a Vandal to death with his own bare hands. After his service was ended and he got his citizenship, he returned to Stanton, where he worked in Crusader as part of the Crusader Cares program, doing outreach. After he left Crusader, he started his own company, Strong Industries, which makes components for railguns and all of the elevators which are used throughout the Empire. One of the major elevator companies. From there, he has set about to try to bring representation to the Stanton system, because he, as a son of Stanton, is concerned that the people's needs of Stanton are being ignored, when Ninetales run amok amongst the citizenry, and now these bastards, the frontier fighters, are causing all these sorts of horrible issues, and we're reliant on the brave heroes of the Citizens for Prosperity. We need representation for Stanton so we can actually have somebody who cares about the people of Stanton, not just the corporations, the wonderful corporations. But still say he should be Army for the lulz. Yeah, of course he's the Army. Maybe not Navy. He should join the Army. That makes sense because that's how he punched a Vanduul to death. I was really hoping for a solid release date for Squadron 42 at CitizenCon, but how the newsletter is worded, my hopes seem dashed. We'll know more about it at CitizenCon or around CitizenCon. I think, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, the intended release date. It's like, well, yeah, because they could always change it, but everyone I've talked to in CIG off the record has said 2026 is the year. Like, for the last several months is that. Could they delay it? Possibly. But I don't think they'll delay it without a hard release date. So I still think it's going to come out December of 2026. All I know is it's clear that marketing is not ramping up to CitizenCon. Nope. But when talking with Sandy and Tyler at Quantum Vegas, we basically asked this question. And both of them said that not really planning to do any sort of ramp-ups this year, but when they do Squadron 42, they will start doing more ramp-ups then. And of course, at the time, and still now, 2026 is the goal. Yeah, there's actually a lot of Chthonian planets in the lore, GQ, like a couple of them. Every announcement release date in the beginning of time has been an intended release date. Yes. Watch out there. Watch out for Horus. Yes. So Squad 42 is going to flop, isn't it? What? No, probably not. I'll tell you this right now. Squadron 42 is going to be a flop in many people's minds if it doesn't make $1 billion in one day. And it won't do that. If they aren't going to market it, then how will it succeed? I didn't say they're not going to market it. We just don't know when they're going to start marketing it. No concern with GTA 6. GTA 6 is releasing in March, right? It's releasing in spring of next year. May 2026, yeah. They don't want to over-market and lead to the problems. They want the hype to burn out early. They seem to be cautious about it, likely because they haven't had full plans for it. Damn it, I missed the story. I got caught with Milo Rossi videos. What, the freaking 3-hour videos he did? They're like 4 hours on that one dude. What are you thinking about the RSI Purposes previews we've seen so far? Seems like it had some changes made to it, albeit a bit of mystery, which ones exactly. I think it looks mostly the same. Its intended role will still be the same. Squadron 42 is releasing fully funded. Any amount of money is profit, no matter the game. No, I get you, Zero, but that's not the point. The point is that everyone's going to claim that if Squadron 42 doesn't release to $1 billion, they'll claim it's a failure because they spent $1 billion, without the context of they built a company off of it We've already paid for it. There's no investors to pay back. I mean, there are, technically. But that investor had the option to pull out many years ago and still hasn't. So I don't think they're planning on it. It needs to be at the Game Awards. If they do a release number, yeah. I don't know how to put this properly because I want to make sure it's worded correctly. CIG, if they release it in December, should start having their ramp up sometime in March of next year. I'd be kind of shocked if Squadron isn't at this year's Game Awards with at least a teaser. I'm hoping that we'll have some sort of discussion on Squadron by Chris and the team towards the end of this year. Because people are going to get antsy with that sort of language that they used in the Squadron newsletter and the fact that they're pulling back from having one preview every 2 months to now being once a quarter. So that definitely tells me that they're slowing down for whatever reason. They just didn't hit the goals that they wanted to do. I mean, we could get a demo. I don't think so, but we'll see. Speaking of Squadron, though, let's take a look at the Odin system. The Odin system is a planetary system of the United Empire of Earth, UEE. It's made up of 2 Chthonian planets, 1 gas giant, and an unusual cosmic anomaly, and a white dwarf star. The anomaly was created when the first planet in the system was destroyed by its star, leaving behind a unique asteroid field beset by constant electrical storms. Corporations and research facilities that deal in dangerous materials conduct testing on Odin 2. I still think Odin 2 was where they conducted the first tests of some of the first tests of the main weapon of the Retribution. If you're looking for Odin 1, you'll be looking for a long time. All that remains of the system's first planet is a cosmic phenomenon known as the Coil, created when the system's star collapsed. They have Archon Station as well. Odin 1A. Known as Gaini, this former moon has the rare distinction of orbiting Odin's sun and not a planet, although it still drifts near the ruins of its late parent, Odin 1. Gaini was once played home to many fracking and gas refining plants until tectonic instability forced their relocation. So we see, this is the one we saw in the preview. We see the terraformers here. And we know that there is liquid of some type on Gaini as well. The preview we saw of the vertical slice was them going to Gaini. So Gaini is definitely a hot spot in Squadron. It's going to have a lot of stuff. It's likely, in my opinion, this is not a leak because or like a spoiler because I don't know the details on this one. But it's possibly where we're going to see some of OMC's headquarters. If it would release it in Invictus, it would be a terrible time because that's like a month after GTA 6 released. Bad timing. December would be a better idea. And we would have already known, they would have already started ramping up if it was going to release in June. Maybe. Yeah, kind of. It'll be fine. Ain't like CIG's launching on PC at the same time. That's not the point. You know it. The point I've always made about that is that when GTA releases, it's going to suck up the oxygen in the room. nobody will be talking about anything but GTA for that entire month, if not for the next 2 months. That always happens with big games release. Like Silk Song just released. It damn near broke the Steam and Microsoft store, or Microsoft and Nintendo stores. No one's going to talk about shit for the next fucking month except for Silk Song. It's one of the most anticipated releases of the year, if not all time. Does that mean it's that other games won't be good? No, it just means that if you're a small indie dev, you're pretty much fucked if you're trying to get any sort of traction for your game. And that's Silk Song, which is just for video games. As Del pointed out, it's going to affect film and television releases as well, because like there is an effect, what's it called? The GTA effect or the Halo effect, where literally people will call out of work just to go play the game that day. Yeah, the Halo effect. Dragon Quest is the original effect of this one. Like any game, any movie or television show that's going to have, like I don't want to even be a fucking anime releasing in that time period. A book at the time period. You're not going to get any fucking attention. You mean the side-scroller Elden Ring? I didn't think people actually liked that. I thought it was a meme. 400,000 people playing on Steam says otherwise. That is one of the most played games on Steam ever. And that's Steam. It's also released on the Nintendo store as well. And I know a lot of people bought a Switch too so they could play it there. People plan on time off for those type of events. Yeah, no, there will be, like, I would be surprised when GTA releases if I will have much of a class when it releases. Because I teach, teenagers. The only thing that might chill a GTA release is because they're going to force players to show their IDs in order to play GTA Online. These conversations always bring to light that a lot of Star Citizen players don't game as a hobby. They play Star Citizen as a hobby. I mean, that's not unusual for MMOs. A lot of MMOs have people who only play that MMO and rarely play anything else. Paul will suddenly call out that day as well. I mean, I might. Depends on when in May it releases, because May is sort of the end of our school year. So if it's at the very end of May, then yeah. Also, cost of we've heard that it's going to cost $100, and then they're going to also make people put their IDs to play online. Speaking of, kudos to NovaQuark. DU may have failed, but they handed it over to the community instead of shutting it out completely. Oh, okay, that's nice. Not gonna lie, I love GTA 5. I love Vice City. I really wonder if GTA 6 is gonna do different, because so far all I know is that the graphics update and and it's not day one for me. It's different for everybody. Again, will everyone have to provide IDs or just the Brits? Everyone. They're going to force everyone to do it. That's why I say it might have a chilling effect. Because if you have to be 18 to play GTA Online, there's going to be plenty of kids who are just going to be like, I'm not going to play this game. Because I don't want to even have to go through the fucking effort to try to fake my way into here. All right. Theorized to have existed within the system's green zone back where the star was alive, the uninhabitable surface only has a few research facilities. Odin 2's moon, Vili, houses several transfer hubs that make an adequate stop for haulers transporting hazardous materials from the planet. This is the place that I'm pretty sure they tested the Retribution's gun first on. I enjoyed GTA 5, but GTA Online got too microtransactions and grindy, so I spent a month waiting on a single-player DLC that they promised that we never got because they focused on GTA Online. Helldivers almost got canceled for having people to link PS accounts. Yeah, I think Rockstar is playing with fire if they think they're likely going to get more problems by doing that than they get. Though easily overlooked, Odin 3 offers insight into the history of the system, making it home to several ongoing scientific endeavors. See that? The Kessel Belt! Oh, look! They call it the Kessel Belt! Oh, I don't think they had the name for it yet. Of course they called it the fucking Kessel Belt. No one sets foot on this gas giant, but its a volatile yet beautiful atmosphere makes it well worth the flyby. Travelers can refuel at one of many facilities orbiting the planet while taking in the breathtaking beauty of Odin 4's hypnotizing auras. Fortune's Cross. Although its glory days are past, Fortune's Cross remains a lifeline for adventure-worn travelers and their ships. Straight off the Kessel Highway, the station has become battered by years of economic decline, yet still serves as a commercial staple for the system and popular transport hub for workers entering and leaving Odin. This is the one we saw where you're going up the escalator. That's the Big Benny's location, where you go to talk with Trejo. And of course, boom, boom, the Consolidated Outland hauler that we've been seeing so much of. And then mystery. Despite its checkered reputation in the UEE, in this corner of the universe, directly connected to the Kellogg system, Odin X is an oasis in the UEE in this corner of the universe, directly connected to the Kellogg system, which enjoys UEE protection under the Fair Chance Act, and two unclaimed systems of Nyx and Tanga. INS Malcolm. There's an INS station? I guess at the entrance. That's where they should honestly put INS Jericho, is at the jump point between Pyro, but you know. What do I know? Of course, it's Malcolm. I get that reference. This said, DMA, Rockstar before the game change, made their success off the media group's outcry. The scandal of violent anarchic games of GTA 2 caused the Streisand effect for its popularity and hype. And they intentionally did it themselves. They sparked their own Streisand effect specifically to sell more copies. Silksong peaked at 535,213 in the past 24 hours. Is sitting in third under Counter-Strike 2 and Dota 2. That's impressive. That's fucking insane. And it also puts to put some context, CIG claims that at their peak, they had somewhere between 200 and 300,000, if I remember correctly. I'd have to look it up, but it was like up there. I remember looking it up at the time and being like, this would put CIG in the top 10 of most played games on Steam if it was on Steam. F 530,000 people is greater than some states in the US. Half a billion, that's not wrong. That's math, Paul, math. 500,000 people. And of course, that's just in Steam. That's not also considering that the Nintendo is also selling it. Let me look it up. I think it's like to give you context, that is only 50,000 less than the state of Wyoming. Wyoming has somewhere around 580,000 people in it. And to give you more context, I live in Austin, and the Austin area has like almost 3 times that amount of people just in the Austin area. Yeah, Wyoming does have the least people. It is the smallest state by population. But that shows you how insane that is. Which means that likely there are more people playing Silksong than live in Wyoming. Possibly even more playing Silksong than there are populations in many states in the US. So does Star Citizen get 1 seat in the House and 2 senators? Yes. Oh, is it Game Pass? Is it also on Sony and Game Pass? Damn. Yeah, no, that's there's record-breaking numbers. The only people who publish their stats are Steam, and Steam apparently had a peak of 535,000 people. 535,213. Let's be real. Age verification in GTA 6 will be a small comment in the EULA that says you must be 18 plus to play this game. If you click in the EULA, you're you're done. No, they said that they'll demand players show their ID. They said that specifically recently. Let me look it up. I remember seeing the statement on it. So about a month ago, there was a leak. A leaker claimed that they were planning on rolling out age verification checks in the near future, region by region. They posted screenshots that verify your age and online features. So it wasn't confirmed, but it was a leak with images. They have to comply with the UK's Digital Safety Act. Yeah, because they are a UK-based company. I'm surprised that CIG hasn't done shit. Because they are also actively paid for by the the British government. The British government gives them tax incentives. Then again, it's not like there's adult content in Star Citizen, so. To think that the DSA is actually politically popular in the UK. They're trying to do it in the US too, man. It's up for the US with COPA. Yeah, when do we get our space strippers? With UK requiring ID to even think about doing naughty things on the internet so that the government can totally not spy on you and figure out what you're doing with your online presence, then, there's no way they're ever doing space strippers. Yeah, I know. Australia's doing it as well. Yeah, we're going to do the monthly report here shortly. All I'm going to say about that is I am not handing over my ID to a company. I don't care what the fuck an online company that I don't know of. I don't give a fuck what's being said or what the government is telling me to do. That is a recipe for my fucking identity to be stolen. Because we know that these companies do awful jobs at actually managing to delete these services once they do the check. They simply just they just simply seem to hold on to them, or they'll sell them. Oh, well, that's illegal. It's not fucking stopped them before. There's no unstuck command, no Zamper. It's just backspace. Yeah, you can also log out and log back in, but you'll lose your location. Probably can censor 95% of the ID and just have the date of birth visible. Doesn't matter. Don't worry, CIG's elevator team is working on the system to keep your ID safe. But yeah, there's been leaks of like companies that were supposed to do just verify your ID and then to let you get into a location, and then you're supposed to delete that information. They've gotten hacked, and that information was leaked to the public. Tea, anyone? Totally not laced with polonium. At this point, like, what's the difference between the British and the Chinese in terms of online censorship? Like, it's just creating the Chinese Great Firewall of China again. The Chinese have cooler tech and better weather. That's the difference. Are they going to start putting names on top of players so we can tell who the NPCs are new player? Probably not. Difference is the Chinese state actually seems to be working. We already have a Chinese firewall here in Australia. Listen, there's another complete fucking bone I gotta pick with Australia, and that's collective shout. Your Karens. Your Karens are killing everybody. Australia was a mistake. Clearly. And you may not be able to see player names. You might just see like identifying markers. Sorry, I was distracted by an F-18 buzzing your city. The worst part about the whole thing is that they're just going to be the excuse that that companies and politicians use to do censorship, because when people get mad at them, they'll just go, well, it's just these people told me to do it, and so they'll just become a scapegoat. All right, enough. Chat knows I don't talk a lot about politics and these sorts of things. The only reason why I bring up these political issues is because they're directly related to both gaming and our experience of the internet. I do not want to require people in the UK to give their ID to the government so they can watch my fucking stream. That's insane. That is some fucking Big Brother shit that I'm not here for. It's common risky. I set my stream to 18 plus, not because I do anything naughty, but because I swear. And it requires you to click that you're 18. And so most of my students aren't. So if they're watching my stream and they tell me afterwards, it's like, well, you're breaking the terms of service violation. Australian mistake, pretty much rich coming to the British. I'm an American. I have no dog in this fight. Do I play Star Citizen, the Star Citizen game? I do. So Zamper, this is simply my my kind of yakety yak stream. We kind of hang out, we talk, we went through a lot of the news that we're talking about, the leaks. You'll see me play it on Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes I play them on Monday, though I'm going to be doing a lore dive on Monday. My students do not watch my stream. I do not tell them what my stream is. but I always put contingencies in there so that to try to like protect myself as much as possible, because there's some stringent rules about interacting with teachers outside of, or teachers interacting with students outside of school. And it can be seen as an inappropriate relationship. Even if there's nothing going on, it can be. And so I actively don't reveal that information until after they've graduated, and only if like at graduation they ask, sort of thing. So by that time, it's mostly just like, you can come hang out on the stream if you want. But there are a couple who are probably in chat right now who are my former students. Most of them aren't Star Citizen fans, though. I found one Star Citizen fan amongst my students for the first time last year. They were an Ollie fan. Is this the same channel that you stream? Yes, so this channel is the same channel I stream the game on, yes. You actually if you check my live streams, if you go to my profile on live streams, you can see me playing the game on Sunday. I played with my organization, the League of Relic Enthusiasts, where we went around and did relic runs. Yeah, we were looking for relics, so. Yeah, exactly, Keith. I've been doing this long enough, both streaming and teaching, to know that there needs to be boundaries. Edwin Citizen Verse. All right. I feel like computer gaming is less popular with the current generation of kids, maybe more so than other generations to date because of phones. You'd be surprised. A lot of the kids I teach are computer gamers. There's more than I thought there would be, but it may just be the population of my population, because we're in Austin, just tends to be a lot more open to computers. But it's pretty typical that most people who are gamers play on their consoles. That's just typical for most children, you know. They tend to not have the kind of money or time or patience to be able to build a PC. We've had 4 internet cafes open in New York City by you for the first time in like close to a decade. Damn, yeah. Gaming-based cafes, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it's PC building is getting to be a very expensive hobby. With this economy, internet cafes could become popular. Yeah, consoles work $400 and they work 99% of the time, and all they require is a television. And televisions are cheap as fuck. You can get a decent television, like 4K television, for less than $300. So for the price of a full PC, you can get a TV, a console, and a game that work. You don't have to fiddle with them, and you plug them in, and you push the go button, and you get your game. Even if consoles are $600, it's still again cheaper than a PC. And again, most people already have a television. All right, it's getting late. I'm getting tired. Capsule time. For those of you who haven't done this before, I'm going to be talking about Star Citizen Monthly Report. I'm going to be talking to the camera while I'm doing this. I will not be responding to chat much, if at all. So if you have stuff, feel free to put it in chat, feel free to talk and put in reactions, and I'll try to catch up with it. But if I don't answer your questions directly, understand that's the reason why. All right. Let's get started. Oh, hello. Welcome to a extra thick capsule. That's right. Capsule. This is a small section of my office hours live stream that I do on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, on twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPub live. Come join us live and join chat. You see YouTube too, but I screwed up. So YouTube is there, but I stream on both platforms. We're talking about the monthly report. And ladies, gentlemen, all of you wonderful citizens out there and pilots out there, this is a big one. Welcome to the end of the drought. Likely from now until November, we're going to be getting some not only big monthly reports, but big releases. Typically, this is when things ramp up over the year. So, with that being said, let's jump into the August 2025 monthly report. From Ship Showdown 2955 to Alpha 43 Dark Territory, August was packed with action and adventure. Read on for all the details of what was done to finalize last month's content, alongside ongoing progress on the wealth of new vehicles, locations, missions, and features coming in the near and not so near future. AI content. AI content continued to progress with several ongoing initiatives, including refactoring one of the NPC's archetypes important to landing zone infrastructure. When complete, it will provide additional character to the various landing zones around the verse. AI content are closely working with core gameplay to ensure that there are contingencies in case the system fails while live. Development continued on a new set of voice packs to refine what was learned from the dynamic conversations added throughout the year. The team took a look into developing new behavior types and re-examined existing behaviors to look for improvements. Finally, they looked into upcoming environments to make sure they're properly set up for AI populations. AI features. The AI features team began the month by improving NPC weapon overheating, a feature initially developed for Squadron 42. You'll see this a lot, that a lot of the content, and this is one of the reasons why I often tell people who get really mad about Squadron 42 existing, and like, oh, well, Squadron is sucking up all the resources. They are sucking up some of the resources when it comes to things like testing and such, but most of the resources that go into Squadron are coming to Star Citizen, if not have come in or will be coming in the near future. So this is an example where they develop something for Squadron and then it gets ported to Star Citizen. It just usually takes time because Squadron doesn't have server meshing, or online features. So they have to build those into those features to make sure they work. Alongside this, a new firing validator was also introduced for charged weapons. The logic for trigger control was reworked and various issues were fixed. A pre-firing stage was also added for NPCs using weapons. As previously, they would only use charged weapons while in cover. A fix was also submitted to tackle the issue preventing NPCs from shooting after their first trigger pull. Various behavioral combat improvements were made, including the implementation of bug fixing of reactions to weak spot destruction and distortion damage. The team are also improving the overall experience for the Copian, starting with the fixes to stabilize the flee behavior. Communication channel improvements were then implemented to allow for a better coordination of NPC groups with leaders. The devs also added improvements to automatically calculate when an NPC is alone or not to better filter what they can say and when. A bug was fixed for NPCs executing audio triggers when dead. This is not yet available in the PU builds, but will be integrated soon. Man, I do hope that CIG sort of bucks the trend. I know it's easy to do because it allows for an audio trigger so you can hear, but I really don't like the, oh, someone there? Oh, must have been the wind. Kind of like stealth mechanic stuff. Like, you don't have to go, oh, someone there. You could say something like, huh, stop, I see you. Or something like that to try to scare players. But maybe small guttural noises or like, what? But not like full on like, oh, must have been the wind kind of thing. it's silly and immersion breaking, and I feel like it would also add a little level of danger if you added that, because if you took it away so that players have to see the approach if you're trying to do stealth. All right, AI tech. The AI tech team progressed with cross-navigation volume pathfinding. Previously, this used a heuristic approach to predict which navigation volumes would be used for pathfinding, followed by multiple pathing steps, with one for each navigation volume. However, they now use single pathfinder step through all navigation volumes to guarantee the shortest path. Navigation links will be temporarily disabled after failed use to prevent NPCs from repeatedly trying to use them, which will result in getting them stuck. General improvements to ship AI behaviors were made, including when AI is within defend area, but the target falls outside of it. In this case, the AI will actively find a position in range to target them. The team also polished the punish idle animation. Instead of strategically circling the target, the AI will perform more maneuvers, particularly when targeted. In addition, bug fixes were done for NPCs flying in formations and following at a distance, while detailed investigations were made into current behaviors of AI ship combat. Following this, the team improved ship AI combat tactic commitments for the strafer and jouster behaviors. For turrets, a vision adapter specialized for unmanned turrets was added, which allows for vision perception to be enabled for security systems. For the usable builder, several improvements were made. For example, the helper geocode was changed to fix collision issues. The team also made the usable group coordinator, UGC, not reset when none was selected at the end condition. Usable data was added for links via the UGC editor. Additional fixes were made to some debug GUI issues, and the string input was changed to a drop-down list of tags. Finally, the devs implemented a way to load layouts in usable builder. Dedicated work began on voxel-based 3D Pathfinder, starting with preliminary refactoring for the path follower that will support both the simple and new Pathfinder. On the tech side, bug fixing was done for StarScript to ensure developers can use the tool as fruitfully as possible. The team also optimized subsumption initiative of AI actors and made further improvements to scripted control for flow graph, such as added functionality to mark global function availability. So when we see they can use unmanned turrets, that basically means that you can see out of the unmanned turret. Before this, AIs couldn't see out of that turret, but now they can actually notice out of that turret, which is interesting. AI Game Intelligence Development Division. Now, it's important to note that this is not AI in the sense of LLMs. What they're talking about is classic GOF AI, good old-fashioned AI. This is just them developing NPCs and NPC behaviors and such like that. In August, the Game Intelligence Development Team continued to work with a density profiler, developing the new IMG UI, IMGUI control. They also improved the visuals of the Mission System version 2 UI prototype and outlined the properties design. In pursuit of the team's goals of unifying the overall scripting tool language, they also began working on the design of the new entity scripting UX. Game Intelligence Development also continued to fix some small bugs and worked on features requested and suggested by the game designers to improve StarScript. Animation. Throughout August, Animation worked on improvements to the Copian, as well as a new creature, which we saw earlier because of leaks. They also created assets for the upcoming Medgel dispenser and made a pass on death reactions to ensure they appear as expected. Facial animation worked alongside mocap and narrative to capture additional content for releases coming soon and into early next year. They also worked through previously captured dialogue that will soon be available in-game, including for brand new mission givers and additional lines for Amelia Boyd. Amelia Boyd? I don't know who that mission giver is. Chat, do you know? It sounds familiar, but I don't know what that is. Huh. Oh, I think that's for the Frontier Fighters? Maybe? In addition, they continue to support the narrative team with SSN Newsflash reports. The Slicer's leader. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, the leader from the Frontier Fighters. Yeah. Newsflash reports that will be given visible in-game during timed events. So the Frontier Fighters are coming back, y'all. Art characters. Also, yeah, we've actually heard some leaks of the audio for SSN Newsflash. Art characters. Last month, the character art team progressed with the armor for the new gang and supported requests for subscriber flare items and CitizenCon Direct. They also continued to work on variants for gameplay rewards and store items. The concept art team started the exploration phase for new heavy armor. Art ships. The UK, this is why you're here. Almost certainly, I have absolutely clickbaited you to coming here, so you're welcome. In the UK, 3 unannounced ships progressed through August. All are currently in various stages with the gray box phase. One is approaching its final review. One is receiving improvements to component accessibility, and the other recently entered following its white box gate review. So that means these 3 are likely not coming till the end of the year at the earliest, because it still has to go through its LOD 0 phase and then the final art phase. For announced ships, the Anvil Paladin progressed into LOD 0 stage. Having had feedback from the gray box gate review actioned, the exterior, which was slightly behind the interior, now has caught up, allowing for further refinement between the two. This is almost certainly the Paladin. It could be the Perseus, but I think this is the Paladin, because that looks very Anvil. That looks very Anvil. And we saw that it was going through its review gate for LOD 0 and has now entered into LOD 0 as of last month. So LOD 0 probably release in November. So September, then getting the final art sometime in October, maybe. Kruger L21 Wolf was released, with the team excited to see the reception on the new ship. They also continued to bug fix issues found during the release, such as a glass shader being excessively worn, alongside implementing the component bays. The Drake Ironclad and Ironclad Assault progressed towards their white box reviews, with the team finalizing the asset kit that will be used across this and other Drake ships. They're not even out of white box, chat. There's no way the Ironclad is coming this year. Next year, but not this year. It'll probably release LOD 0 towards the end of the year, but it's not coming this year, y'all. I thought it was, and then the fact that it's just now in white box, it's like, ooh, yeah, no. This is a big one. Work on the RSI Aurora and Aegis Hammerhead kicked off to bring them up to current standards, focusing first on their cockpit and dashboard views, as well as physicalizing components. So we're getting the Aurora overhaul and a Hammerhead overhaul. That's surprising. My hope is that a Hammerhead gets its little middle section filled in, possibly, but we'll see. This is the other big one. The Hull B entered pre-production following the approval of its updated concept. So the Hull B, which I had not anywhere in my bingo list even being worked on, is going into pre-production. So that's not to white box yet, but it's entering into the beginning of the phase of being built after its new concept is done. It'll be interesting to see what the Hull B looks like, because originally the Hull B was supposed to be the Hull A, but slightly bigger and could land. And they had it was sort of like an X pattern rather than a cross pattern in terms of how you loaded things. And then it would have really long legs to support it. But since then, it just clearly doesn't work. And it's still intended to land fully loaded. So the theories have been that it's going to be a 3-panel and 3-panel. So 1, 2, 3 on the outside, and then another 1, 2, 3. So like kind of just like an extended spindle for Hull A. But effectively, it's still a Hull A. It's the spindle that has to be changed. In North America, the RSI Apollo Medevac and Triage continued to be prepared for release, with testing and bug fixing being the focus. Ships also supported the gameplay teams with medical gameplay adjustments. Some of the team then moved on to to a related but unannounced ship. Interesting. RSI Perseus was prepared for its Laud Zero Gate review with additional lighting and detail passes being done across both interior and exterior. So it is not in its gate review for Laud Zero. That's, I think, the last stage before final art. So I could see the Perseus being released in October, but it could also be released in November, one of the two. I wouldn't be surprised if we got the Paladin and the Perseus in November. That's kind of a weird combo, though. 2 gunships. Huh. And finally, the Drake Kraken's pre-production phase continued too. Community. Throughout August, the community team continued to capture community sentiment, tracks feedback, and relay it to development teams, ensuring that player input continues to inform future updates. The team also carried on with their evergreen publishing tasks, including This Week in Star Citizen, the Roadmap Update, and the Roundup, the Arena Commander Schedule Update, and monthly reports like this one. Alongside this, the team delivered a steady flow of content and communication across channels, highlighting important beats and spotlighting community-driven moments. This included preparing messaging for development updates and amplifying announcements, supporting player-organized events, both online and in real life, and keeping the community informed and connected. A primary focus last month involved ongoing work on upcoming improvements to Spectrum and other web tools. The team collaborated closely with colleagues in Montreal to visit the suite of applications available on the website, ensuring they remain effective, intuitive, and aligned with player needs. Further, the company team supported the Ship Showdown 2955, which began with creative submissions, rallying behind the players' favorite ships. A dedicated contest was also hosted during this phase. The community once again exceeded expectations with their creativity, and the team showcased the top submissions in the battle as the battle transitioned to live voting in head-to-head matchups. The live showdown commenced with announcement of the top 16 vehicles. The team celebrated each phase of the competition through the Elite 8 and Free Fly, the Final 4, and ultimately announced the RSI Polaris as the Ship Showdown champion. Community also supported the release of Alpha 4.3 Dark Territory, including publishing the FAQ on the sprawling new Onyx facilities. The patch also marked the flyable release of the Kruger L21 Wolf, which was accompanied by a comprehensive Q&A. Preparation for CitizenCon Direct 2955, scheduled on October 11th, 2025, is well underway. As part of the lead-up, the team kicked off a machinima-style video contest that resulted in many creative submissions, with the top videos being set to showcase during the event. Key members of CIG staff will also be attending CitizenCon Direct watch parties across North America and Europe to experience events live with the community. I will be emceeing one of those events here in Austin, Texas, with myself and Solus of the Beyond the Verse podcast are the ones who are hosting it, and it is being hosted by effectively the entirety of the community of the Texas Bar Citizen community. So it'll be here in Pinballs here in Austin, Texas. So if you want to join us, it is going to cost you about like $10, $5 to $10 for a ticket. This just helps us pay for a lot of those things. And it's going to be an all-day event. We're going to be doing a bunch of other stuff, including the watch, but we'll be doing some lead-ups and keeping you entertained and stuff like that. Do these lives stay up for rewatch? They do. In fact, this is being recorded right now, which will be up as a separate video after the fact as well, so you can go watch that. Finally, the Bar Citizen World Tour continued with 2 stops in August, Gamescom in Cologne, Germany, and PAX West in Seattle, Washington. There we go. Who was there? Let me see if I can find the CIG staff. They're probably just taking the picture. Core gameplay. Throughout August, the core gameplay teams were heavily involved in Alpha 4.3 release, though they also made a significant progress across many large gameplay systems. The team's focus continued on freight elevators, with further fixes to the issues that put them in an unstable state, as well as improvements to the debug tooling. They continued to look into a large range of other widely reported issues, such as unrelated medical beacons and physics exploits. Improvements to medical ship functionality are in progress, including the addition of MedGel, which will be required to allow respawning. The This will further differentiate the utility of various medical vehicles in-game. These improvements are also prompted some general improvements to the respawn flow. The devs are working to close out the functionality required to support new creatures' unique behaviors and attack moves. The engineering screen was then updated to show the rate of heat change for components and fixed various bugs. For item recovery, the team added the ability to disable components for ships that have been claimed. Additionally, items will now display timer until they become bricked, after they've claimed by the original owner. This is also displayed in the to the player as part of a notification when an item is bricked and a player attempts to use it. For those of you who don't know, that is item recovery version 1, I believe, or version 2. It's the next step. And when it comes online, the big thing to remember is that it will also include the removal of the backspace function. You will no longer be able to use the backspace express wherever you want to go. You will be stuck. So that's one of the reasons why they've been trying to also experiment with bringing you back to where you last were. It's why they have you spawn in the hangar if you're at a ground location. It's kind of an attempt for them to do that. So far, it seems to still be working. So they're going to start making it so that where you log out, you log back in, even if you didn't log out into bed, because they want to start doing that. Okay, for crafting, the team implemented an offline version of the blueprint service, which is used as a stand-in to support the player-bound blueprint library until the actual service starts development. They also finished the first playable prototype of crafting in a multiplayer environment. Sounds like crafting is still very long away if they're doing just prototypes, so maybe 6 to 9 months. 6 to 9. Possibly 12 months. So crafting is a very long ways away. For control surfaces, improvements to the aerodynamic simulation were implemented, which should address jittering observed at low frame rates. Support for G-limiter was added to the new atmospheric flight mode, and NPCs now fly using control surfaces when in atmosphere. Internally, the team integrated the necessary work from Squadron 42 to conduct an internal playtest with various changes. These, in turn, prompted additional tuning improvements and bug fixes. IFCS saw further support work for Maelstrom. Destroyed parts will now reduce thrust effectiveness, which also addresses a common exploit where non-critical ship parts are destroyed to improve acceleration. This also helps design in better defining when a ship is considered inoperable, even when not fully destroyed. Cockpit dashboards will now support the ability to physically animate and vibrate based off of various factors. Oh my, CIG. Oh my, vibrate? Be careful. Oh, that's a little dangerous there. Adding another level of fidelity and realism. You can say that again. Examples of triggers include spaceships shooting their weapons or maneuvering at high angles of attack. For quantum travel, the team worked on various bug fixes and polish tasks, such as NPCs not being able to perform solo jumps. Quantum interdiction saw further improvements to address reliability of the system, especially in situations where the new quantum interdiction fields appear disappear after the jump has been initiated. Interdicted ships will also now have markers on them to make them more obvious to players who are performing the interdiction. Turret weapons are now prevented from firing when aimed at the host vehicle. This will reduce the need for complex turret angle maps, which have caused turrets to aim up and down erratically as players rotated around. For radar and scanning, the team worked on various improvements and polish tasks, such as improved UI for information about targets and better polishing for the scan information for very large targets. So it seems like we're seeing radar and scanning and engineering are closer to release, with crafting a far distance away. Transport also made good progress towards feature parity with a legacy transit system. This included bringing it to parity with the current behaviors for instance hangars, scripting support for design, and also making it necessary preparations for dynamic server meshing. There we go. That's another mention of dynamic server meshing, which means they're ramping it up. Part of this initiative involves moving away from interpolated movement to utilize the physics system, which saw a first pass implementation. Oh, okay. Now, before we go on, I do think it's important to notice this. I know there are leaks that talk about Nyx and in terms of like information about Nyx and various new organizations which have been mentioned, which is fine, but it's also important to remember that these are in lore narratives. That indicates where they would like to go in the near future. That does not indicate where they are going in the near future. So I still believe that dynamic server meshing is one of those things that's required for them to bring Nyx out. For you to understand, dynamic right now, the servers as they function, I think there are 10 servers per shard, and there's a total of 600 players per shard. That means that the total number of players per server is less if you spread it out evenly than there would be before server meshing. So it is more expensive for CIG to host servers now the way they do than it was for 3.0. And almost certainly they want to increase the number of players per shard because they want to eventually have a North American shard, a European shard, an Asian shard, and an Oceania shard. Like as everyone is in those shards. That's a ways away, but that's going to require server meshing, dynamic server meshing. And if they want to bring Nyx into the game, they likely don't want to have to add more servers. They'd likely just want to keep the same number of servers they have now and increase the player cap as they go around. And so dynamic server meshing will allow for the similar performance with increased players while you have an increased player space. Because you should definitely want more players in the game if you have an increased player space. So we often see dynamic server meshing mentioned around topics about Nyx, like instancing and so on. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nyx is reliant on DSM, at least the first version of DSM, to come out. And yes, for people who are saying how long that's going to be, a lot sooner than you think. Probably within the next 12 months, if not sooner. The inventory rework is progressing well too, with the team implementing proximity looting, which will allow players to loot from multiple nearby inventory containers simultaneously. The new UI has also had filters and search implemented. Yep, there it is. We already saw this before in sort of like the plan. We see the timers and all that kind of stuff. An upcoming event was given additional support to improve existing mission archetypes and better support mission availability scaling. Economy. Last month, Economy team progressed with the new iteration of the economy based on the data they recently gathered. They're currently looking into changes to the buy and sell prices of FPS weapons, armor, and consumables. They're also updating profit margins for salvage vehicles, including components, and the effort versus reward algorithm. This is being done as part of an ongoing initiative to ensure crafting is profitable, revitalize the salvage of the vehicle components, and prevent exploits. Mission design. The mission team worked hard towards the release of Alpha 4.3, including the new ASD Onyx facilities. They also continued their initiative to improve the mission generation system to help ease the current pain points that affect both the mission team and players. This work is ongoing, but it is very exciting already. Missions team. The devs also continued their work to bring existing missions back to older locations, which will expand the pool of available locations for players and bring back various interesting encounters. That's good. This one is the big one is that they're planning on having so that you go to an area and you generate a mission when you're in an area that wants to generate the mission. Narrative. With the release of ASD's Onyx facilities, the narrative team turned their focus to polishing the next round of content that players will discover there. The team also wrote and captured several new mission characters that will be making their debut later this year, as they continue to focus on improving storytelling across Star Citizen. This month's performance capture session also saw the return of an already released character to pick up some additional lines. It's probably the one we saw earlier, the head of the Frontier Fighters. While not yet captured, Narrative began writing new scripts for NPCs to help flesh out the lore of specific areas in the game. The hope is that they will continue to expand the collection of conversations that players can overhear across the verse. The team also continued to work on developing a new hostile faction that will be making its debut in a later patch, establishing its unique voice and supporting the branding and character art teams. This possibly could be the Broken Blades, which were referenced in a leak recently. Last month, the team also worked with design on updating the text of a few older contracts to align with improved gameplay flows, as well as tutorial missions that will help players understand new gameplay mechanics being introduced in a future patch. Engineering, maybe? The team additionally crafted a new fiction piece for this month's subscriber Jump Point magazine that expands upon the current happenings of the Empire, which we read earlier today in this video. So if you want to watch that, it'll be right up there. You can click that link and watch the whole episode. Online technology. This is the big one. Yeah, it is big. In August, the online services team collaborated with QA Test to show up to the Stow Context API. Item imprint version 1 development continued as expected. With the blueprint library development done, the service side related API development began. Online technology also started the discovery phase for the instancing feature. The team is currently working on making inventory API only accept calls if they affect a specific inventory ID. This is being done ahead of the Entity Graph global database sharding. So they're going to now shard the global database, which is interesting. So that means that the blueprint library is done, but it isn't fully integrated. They talked about that earlier, where they had the blueprint prototypes done, but they haven't fully rolled it out, which is required for crafting. Regarding the lazy inventory creation project, that's a really interesting name for it. The team worked on updating calls that could handle it and change the API accordingly. Essentially, the team wants inventories that can be created if needed on certain calls. As usual, the online service team worked on various bug fixes and improvements, including items for the mission system and for trace analytics. Meanwhile, Live Tools continued to enhance their internal support tool. These improvements will help our support staff monitor activity within the tool more effectively, ensuring fair play and better experiences for everyone. Live Tools team. The team also kicked off the discovery and early design of a new entitlement service within the Hex Knock Entitlements module. This service will support item recovery workflows by tracking entitlement history, status, and source, making it easier to resolve issues quickly and accurately. Live Tools also began restructuring error reporting system. This upgrade aims to significantly boost the speed and volume of crash processing. As part of this, they're migrating to new framework that's more scalable and easier to maintain. Finally, in August, the network team progressed with bug fixing and maintenance along with support for online service item imprinting tasks. They also focused on mapping out their path towards instancing and dynamic server meshing. It's important to note that of the last 4 monthly reports, 3 of them have mentioned either instancing, dynamic server meshing, or both. So it's been clear since at least June, they have been heavily involved in dynamic server meshing. And as I said earlier, don't expect 5 years for dynamic server meshing. It's going to be around fairly quickly, because all that DSM-1 is the current system we have now, only it has a trigger to change or increase or decrease the location, like the size of a server. So if they have a server that's covering all of the, Hurston, and one area gets super high in terms of the number of players going there, that area will then get its own server, and another server will kind of expand out to cover the areas that that server used to cover. Because obviously there are more people there, so you need to have a dedicated server to that area. The problem about that automatic swapping, because it's still 10 servers, it's just sort of changing where the servers are actually covering. They're not spinning up or spinning down servers, it's just 10 servers. Is the process of changing the server boundary and how that will affect players. The actual process, though, is the same as what they've been doing for dynamic server or for regular server meshing. It's just more of a what are the parameters that they set that to work. So it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's just more of a philosophical question and a technical question in terms of what they need to do. Yeah, because right now they manually change the locations. This is more of a non-manual change, but dynamic change without a manual input, or possibly an input that can be done on the fly. Because I do believe that the only way they can change the boundaries of what servers are covering where is by taking the servers down and then bringing them back up. So this will allow it for more easier changing. This should also allow for increased player cap. So R&D. In August, the R&D's team focus remained on analyzing performance and optimizing the engine and game code. That has been the same for practically the entire year. R&D has been just focused on that. VFX. Multiple locations, props, and gameplay elements integral to the entire Alpha 43431 flow required VFX support, which resulted in incredible visuals that the community have already given great feedback on. Support was given to the vehicle and creature teams. Yeah, there's amazing visuals for the Onyx facilities. They're really good. All right. Someone's asking, first version of base building without crafting den? We're getting neither. They're going to come out at the same time next year. At the earliest. So, big things that stood out. Dynamic server meshing, instancing, both mentioned. The blueprint system is actively in development. It's going through its prototype phase in terms of going online, but the actual technology is done. They're doing new hostile factions. They're doing more voice lines. They're bringing back the Frontier Fighters as a villain again. Obviously, we know that the ASD facility's final swan call in 431. They also are doing some balancing for the economy. Maelstrom mentions the control surfaces are being worked on and actually implemented with NPCs. Turret weapons are being updated. Just going through a lot of this stuff. Med gel, which we know because of the leaks, is in 431 and how medical regen is going to work. The Polaris won the ship showdown. We know that Kraken's still being worked on. Perseus is waiting for its step before final art. The Paladin is also in that sort of close to that stage. The L21 released. The Ironclad is still in white box, but the Aurora and the Hammerhead are being redone. The Hull B is entering production, and the Medevac and triage for the Apollo are going to come out in 431. Plus 3 new ships and an unannounced ship are currently in production. Probably going to be, some of them coming out later this year, some of them much later. Animation, a lot of AI stuff as well, just new updates and fixes and trying to improve it overall. So that was the August monthly report from 2025. As always, I want to hear your thoughts down below on anything you heard. Do you think I am being optimistic by saying dynamic server meshing is coming a lot sooner than you think? Do you think I'm being pessimistic when I say I don't think Nyx is coming anytime soon, despite the fact that we know that Nyx is being worked on? I think I mentioned that earlier in the video, but I don't think so. I think that we're going to get a preview and then we're going to get an actual release next year. But let me know that and any of your other thoughts down below. And if you did enjoy this, hit the like button, subscribe for more options, for more videos like this, and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release and when I go live on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Thursday, through the weekdays, I go live at 7 p.m. Central, so 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And on the weekends, I go live at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Love to have you join us live and join chat here, even though they'll tell you this is pre-recorded or there's trapped in my basement. Don't worry, neither are true. They're all just robots. I am also a robot. So, all hail our robot overlords. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. And like I say every time, I hope to see you someday in the black.
Them biddies.
Best timing for that one. I forgot about that. I forgot to turn that off. That's item recovery version 2? Yeah. What's your FPS in this game, buddy? In cities? I'd have to do my update, but dude, see, it's like 50 to 60.
If you give an escape a hammerhead update, he will want an Invictus paint to go with it. Beep boop.
Thank you for them biddies. Yeah, no, so I like low end 45 FPS, high end 60 FPS. Depends on where I am in the cities and which city. But yeah. Outside of cities, I'm getting 90 to 200 FPS, depending where I am. I have a 9070 XT, though. And a AMD Ryzen 9 9800X3D. Is the right one? And I also have a bunch of SSDs. And 48 gigs of DDR5? Whatever the most latest RAM is. Whoa, weird. I just read if you gave a boost of muffin to my daughter tonight, I should go buy lotto tickets. Okay? I don't know how that... I've never actually read that, so I don't know what that is. Is it DR6? Is that the latest one? Here, I'll look it up. I actually have the list here. PC part picker. It's DDR5, yeah. DDR5. Oh, because like give him as a cookie. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I'll share the part list. Yeah. There's my full list. So there you go. Great show, Paul. Side note, I have a good idea for the relic enthusiasts in an event that revolves around the fastest run in Onyx facility, wins an ASD set. I'd be willing to donate. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Thank you. Das Sound Machine, DSM. Yes. The blueprint system intrigues me. Yeah, because it's I'm interested to see how it actually works, because it's supposed to be account bound, But that means it has to be linked up to the back end. And then once you pick it up, you have to like use it, and then it binds to yourself. But not all of them are account bound. So, and it's going to have a sort of an implementation in terms of crafting. So, yeah. Ooh. I realize it's been quite a while since we did an update on the Pioneer since it started a white box. Yeah, it's going to be a while. It probably got delayed or slowed down because there's no reason to build the Pioneer if you're not going to do base building for another year. The other thing that's changed in that I actually, because that Corsair, is that the one I had? No, it wasn't the one I had. Oh, it was Ryzen 7, not Ryzen 9. Yeah. DDR5 honestly is bleeding edge. Anything over 6,000 megahertz starts having issues with 64. Yeah, that's why I have the 6,000. But I got the 48 though. Apparently, according to SE Leaks, MedGel is going to start cost at UEC and fuel med beds. Yeah, no, I know that. No, I mean, like, Leaks is also just pulling from the Evo, and Evo can talk about it. Like, the way that the current NDA works, Evo Kadi can talk about anything that's in Evo Kadi builds. They just can't show it. The difference is that Leaks will just pull the data out and show it anyways. You can put a lot of them. You can put like 11 in a large backpack, 11 of them. So they're portable. So it's not just that you can, like, the cost will be low. You can also stick them inside those medical storage locations that every medical ship has now. So those medical storage bays actually have a purpose now to store all the med gel. Ooh, 100K to pop right at the moment in Evo. That'll probably change. 100K is a lot of money, but I expect it to change as it goes live. I don't expect it to get incredibly cheaper, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a good 30 to 40K for one. Because one will give you a regen. Basically, one med gel container is one regen. And a tier 3 beds can hold one of those containers. Tier 2 and tier 1s can hold 2. I expect tier 1s to end up holding like 4 or multiples. It will change also because you'll eventually be able to craft them. So it'll be a matter of like, how much does it cost to craft? The 100K is probably just a good starting point that they want to make it, because they'd rather make it harder to do and then reduce the cost than it is to making it easier and not seeing any sort of difference. Remember, it doesn't just deal with regen, it also deals with injuries. So like, each medgel container has 100,000 units of medgel, and like a tier 3 injury requires 50K medgel to heal. So you have 2 heals with a container. You have 2 full or 2 injury heals Where with the tier 2 and tier 1, it costs less, like 20 to 10k. So you have more heals with each tier 1 and tier 2. Effectively, tier 3 is going to always be, it will heal you, but it'll cost you more because it's inefficient. And the tier 2s and tier 1s will heal you better because they're more efficient, but and they're more efficient, but they're going to cost you more overall. Ooh. The Pisces has 2 med gel slots. So does the Nursa, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be able to use both of them. And remember, you could still always regen at a station for free, and also get healed for free at stations. Yes, tier 3 gets 1 respawn per container, and tier 2 gets 2. Tier 1 and 2, and they hold 2, if I remember correctly. But it's still more efficient to get yourself healed at those locations than it is to backspace your way there. And remember, backspacing is going away in the near future, possibly by the end of the year. So keep that in the back of your mind. There's no way they're doing 4-3-1. They're doing that. At the earliest I could see them doing the item recovery is 4-4. Which is likely in October, and then 4-4-1 will be in November, and then December will be 4-5. How long until clinic or hospital revies will cost players, do you think? Once item recovery version 2 or version 1, whatever the next version of item recovery is, that is going to what it's going to cost. Tier 3s are still going to be able to res. They're going to cost more. I still think that they need a portable tier 3 bed. I'm a big proponent of giving players the tools to make all ships effective at all roles in some way, shape, or form. So having ship grade mining material, mining lasers that can be attached to slots for like weapons for like a one-use burst, and then having refineries that you can use that are connected to the ship's power systems, but aren't as efficient as dedicated ones, that kind of thing. Do I think that they'll wipe for the main item recovery update? Possibly. A 2 SCU portable tier 3 bed? Yeah. How many months of indenture will Pure of Heart charge Hurston workers? If they put bricking in before they fix item retention between patches, people will just give up on upgrades altogether. Yeah, they definitely need to fix that. But it sounds like that's what they're working on right now, is trying to improve that system. Yeah, I do think that CIG needs to swap out backspacing for a stuck command. And put that stuck command on a timeout, or like on a timer. Though people will use it to skip through doors, but they already do that. What the stuck command could do is relocate you back to your most recent ship, but also on a timer. So if you hit /stuck or /unstuck, it'll sort of timer where you have like 20 seconds and then it'll moves you. So if you try to do it in combat, it may not work at all, or it'll have a timer on it. Back to the last armistice, I can see that too. But you also don't want people to abuse it, or they just use it as fast travel. So having a timer on it and having a cooldown for that timer will also help. I've seen that as the entire point of 32 SCU cargo blocks on a Zeus ES. You can bring a medium item crafter, a tier 3 bed, and some supplies. That's where crafting, base building could come in, build a portable med bed. But I mean, if you could build it, you should be able to buy it too. Polaris has 8 possible respawns. Yes, it does. It makes it very valuable. But the Idris has it has 5 possible respawns, unless those are tier 2 beds. Are they tier 2 beds or tier 3? Because I know there's 1 tier 1, and I think those are like 3 tier 3s, or there are more than that. 4 tier 3s and 1 tier 1, so it's 5. So there's less total respawns than the Polaris. A stuck command that warps you into 0G mode for 60 seconds. You can float around being stuck, but I guess there are stuck cases where they won't help. Exactly. You'd be able to like float through locations. So with what they mentioned about beds being a big gameplay element, do you think they'll add something like a barracks ship for trying to leave an org out living out? I mean, maybe. They kind of already have that though. With like, there's plenty of bunk beds in places like the TAC. And also for like the Odyssey and the Carrack. So the key with any kind of stuck command would be they need to implement it in a way that people wouldn't use it as an exploit, kind of the way that they use the backspace right now. I still think that they're going to stow ships. Once everyone is logged off on a ship, they'll stow the ship. But I have a feeling that what they'll do is they'll keep the player model in the bed if they logged off, or where they are when they logged off, until the last player has logged off, and then it will wait a couple of seconds like it does now, and then stow the whole ship. So that when a next player comes back in, it will unstow the ship and allow for that player to fly around in it. Med gels in storage expiring? Not yet, but it might at some point. Oh, you said, what do you think if med gels in storage had an expiration? I think that'll eventually happen. I also think that you could probably extend the expiration by having them refrigerated. So just having some sort of refrigeration storage. I'm 99% sure beds will be there for stopping character exhaustion and gradually increasing your IVS. I didn't think about that. I could see them using it as a way of dealing with your IVS score, so your IVS will actually go up over time as long as you're resting. That would be a good bonus. Like, yeah, your hard health bar is going down because you've done enough regens, but as you rest, it will go up like 1% or 2% over the time you rest. Let med ships have storage for them. They already have medical storage, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just turn those into that. I don't think they should ever prevent expiration. I think they should just extend expiration. So if you keep it in the storage, it will extend the expiration from like 12 hours to 36 hours. So that way you don't have people hoarding, and it still has a use by date, basically. So you're only buying what you need at the time. It seems the CIG thing to do to have beds remain occupied until you log back in. Well, it's also the, like, I think just logistically on their part, it's probably easier to do that because they're already tracking the player. That also mean that if you log back in and players aren't in beds, then those players would then be A, in danger, and B, if they're not in beds, they're not resting. So they could take the penalties for not resting. How about a refrigerated container, but it uses 1 pip of power and thus fuel? Makes your med gel last forever, but at a fuel cost. I can see it, but I think the simpler solution is just extending it rather than like making it impervious. Because CIG you would still have the problem where you could just store med gel forever. So, yeah, yes, it still has some component in there, but like if you log out and then come back in 2 years later, you'll still have that med gel, which will be good, which wouldn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, they would just have ships, or would just have ships that they store all their med gel in, then log that ship out, and then they never get that ship until they absolutely need it, and then bring it back in, and they've got infinite supplies on that ship until they log it back out again. If you have tier injury gun, it should allow it with the appropriate drugs applied. Also, beacons should only spawn in system, Hurston Crusader, etc. No need to go across the verse for a revive. They should. For the medical beacons, that'd be good. A lot of these mechanics sound intensely wearying to deal with. Only if you're planning on doing complicated work with large groups or going in long distances. Because you don't have to interact with the system at all if you just stay in systems with medical facilities. Because you could just go to a medical facility and pay for the medical facility to deal with it, or pay another player to deal with it. The purpose of having these weary systems is to give gameplay for players and NPCs so that other players can engage in it, but don't have to. They're not forced to. Like having a dedicated scanning officer for somebody who has to scan and monitor scans is kind of boring, but there's going to be people who A, want to do it, and B, will probably give some gameplay for it. Same with engineering. There's not everyone wants to be an engineer, but there's going to be enough complicatedness that it has to be there. Yeah, as Risky says, effectively you just want a dedicated medic. Somebody who flies a medical ship, who's dedicated to the medical profession, and they're the ones who have to take care of all the nitty-gritty bullshit. $890 has, yeah, also trying not to die. $890 has tons of beds. It does, but I don't think it has that many. It has, I'm trying to remember, the captain's quarters. It has the 2 guest suites, which are like 2 beds. That's like 6 total beds there. And then I think it's got some crew quarters, which is like 8 or 9. So, yeah, it's got a lot. Medgel mechanic is very similar to Foxhole and other games that make you basically build spawns. Yeah. Yeah. Med beacons need local call and NPC missions to do between player beacons alongside the ratings and subsidized costs they already have planned. 100%. Med beacons need to be NPC based as well. They need medical beacons, NPC beacons, where you go rescue an NPC so that you can get reputation by doing those missions. Also, it allows for people to actually play the mechanic they want to do. All right, y'all. I'm going to call it a night. It's about 11 p.m. my time, noon Eastern. I got to go to bed because I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work. So I need to get at least 6 hours of sleep. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging out. I'll try to edit this video and send it up tomorrow morning before I go to work. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. Oh, see you tomorrow for Pub and Plays. We're going to be doing MechWarrior 5. The new DLC expansion's out. We'll see if we can just bum rush that. Loken's doing a 10-year celebration, so he'll probably be streaming a lot. And you'll see Loken again on the captain's table on this Saturday, along with Space Tomato, where we're going to talk about the year of playability, like we talked about with like the wider community, and more focus on that statement, if the dimensions of it, how playable is it from a content creator's perspective, and from all three of us run large-ish organizations, and have we seen increased player interest, more people coming in, that kind of thing. And then Sunday, we've got a closed lore expedition. And lastly, on Monday, I'm going to be doing a Astro Historian Live talking about the Nyx stuff we just talked about, going into depth about Nyx. Odin stuff we talked about, going into depth into the Odin system, what it's like, and also reading that Senate review one more time. And then also taking questions and comments about lore. So thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.